charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange owl. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. And every thread in the press. Wow! Yowza!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hello, I'm Tom.
And you're listening to Sunglasses at Night podcast. It is 2003.
2003. This is the podcast where we take a look back through our metaphorical Ray-Bans at a year in musical history via the ARIA charts, Australian Recording Industry Association charts, and ask what the fuck was going on. So what was happening in 2003?
Oh, Tom, can you tell me what was happening in 2003? I can tell you one thing that happened in 2003. Sure. I don't want to start the podcast off, in a somber mood, but the space shuttle Columbia blasted off up into space, and then on the way down, burnt up on re-entry, and everyone on board died. So,
bit of a bummer.
It was a bit of a bummer, but that was big news that year. If only the same would happen to... Who's on top of your list for that to happen to? Richard Branson or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos? If one of them had to die in a fiery burn-up re-entry, who's on top of your list?
Well, seeing as I've generated enough bad karma to last many lifetimes, I'll say that I don't really fantasize about, much as those people have a lot of problems,
No, I'm not saying you fantasize. I'm just saying those guys are going into space. One of them will inevitably burn up on re-entry. Who's it going to be?
I think it's going to be when they find out that Jeffrey Epstein faked his own death and his Lolita space comet shuttle will burn up on re-entry, and then I'll feel justified in being happy.
Yeah. You think he's going to just, fake his own death, but just be living on the moon? Is that sort of I'm a billionaire, I've got all these rich friends, I've just, blasted off in a SpaceX rocket, I've set up a colony on the moon, and, the age of consent here is 12, so I'm doing whatever I want.
Don't tell me that secret moon sex colony is not something that, politicians have looked into in the past.
It's also a new Adam Sandler film, I think, Tom. So, Moon Sex Colony 2.
I did see a film about Nazis that had hidden on the moon until...
Really?
But yeah.
Okay.
Called Iron Sky. That was not too bad.
Yeah?
Deliberately trashy.
Sounds good. So, that happened. Human Genome Project.
Ah, nice. Yep.
They
finally mapped the human genome.
Mapped that guy. 99% of it, I think, they'd completed. I don't know whether they've probably done the extra 1% now, but so that was quite the breakthrough. The kids these days are just sort of saying, "Oh, look, I mapped the human genome. Grade 1. We just do it before lunch." But back in 2003, it was quite a big deal, I think.
Yeah, like a lot of massive scientific breakthroughs, finding the Higgs boson particle and so forth, they are promised to be these huge, world-changing events, but then it turns out that, oh, what a surprise, the answer to that question generated about 100,000 other questions that we can't actually answer right now. But, so... As yet, they haven't found how to magically switch off all the genes that people don't like the one that makes food taste better so you get really fat and so forth. The one that makes all my hair fall out when I'm 25. The
one that, that's the
one that
thing.
makes people believe QAnon is, that JFK Jr. is coming back to help Donald Trump,
Where are we on that? Is he definitely not coming back, or do we know that? He didn't come back when they thought he was going to. But is it like an end of the world scenario where you just go, it's the end of the world, it's the 4th of June 2008, and then that rolls around and it's like, I forgot to...
The whole thing is just a giant goalpost transportation device that shifts the goalposts infinitely.
Yeah, just got to divide that by 2. Instead of 3, or something like that. I thought it was a leap year. So once I factor that in, the world's going to end, So, okay, interesting.
Yeah, not much else happened, really. Let's face it, nothing happened.
World's final Concorde flight.
Concorde flight, yes. After the, September 11 put the crimp in high-end international travel, and that giant, terrifying explosion happened shortly earlier in 2000. I mean, the Concorde...
It was sick.
It looked fucking rad, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't actually really any kind of technological innovation. All they did was make a very thin plane that carried fuck all people and burnt 4 times as much fuel as a normal plane.
That's why it
charged everyone on board £20,000 for the trip. That's how it goes really fast.
Could it go twice the speed of a commercial flight, or more like 3 times the speed?
Well, it was through the sound barrier.
Okay.
So faster than the speed of sound.
Yep.
So I think a normal plane goes at about half the speed of sound, a passenger jet, approximately.
So you're getting double the speed. So you're getting to Brisbane in an hour.
Yes, that's right. But with the laws of entropy and so forth, that it means to go twice as fast, you spend 4 times as much energy.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a miracle of engineering, like the you know how the plane has like an inner shell and an outer shell and that sort of thing. In the Concorde, the inner shell was like there had to be like 3 inches of empty space between the two skins, because the pressure and the heat involved in travelling at that speed meant that it would contract around.
Right.
Like the engineering involved was amazing. But
will it make a comeback? Can we see Concorde Mark II? Is that like a Bezos type thing? Maybe I
think the problem is the people who could afford something like that, they don't want to fucking share a plane with the plebs. Even the plebs who paid 20,000 quid for a seat, they want their own plane.
That's true.
So if you could get if Richard Branson could develop mini Concordes that only one person and his underage sex harem could fit into, then you'd be onto something. But
I think there was probably a time where Richard Branson could have developed a Concorde type competitor, but he was too busy taking on Coke and Pepsi with Virgin Cola, I think, which was a more pressing issue to deal with a bottle shaped like Pamela Anderson, Tom. I believe that Pamela Anderson was the model for the Virgin Cola bottle. If you don't know what Virgin Cola is, don't worry, no one does, because it was around for about 2 weeks, I think. And
did you ever try it?
I could never find it. So, no, didn't try it. That was, 20 years ago? I don't know, maybe 25 years ago, but sort of a late 90s type thing. When that was maybe it's good that I'm sort of giving them shit for wanting to go into space, but maybe it's positive they can do that, because there was a period of time where it's just like, what's the most exciting thing you can do? Make it cola, maybe. That's it. Probably have an airline. Cool.
Sure.
So definitely. Anyway, music time?
Yeah, most of the other stuff that happened there was incredibly depressing political shit involving the Iraq War.
Well,
it's
not an Olympic year, so we can't talk about how exciting the Olympics was.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was officially made governor of California. That happened after the recall election. So
that's good. That's
a bit of good news. I didn't live there, so for me, I got to enjoy watching him bust out his old catchphrases every single time he was in any kind of speech. Because there is a man who knows what people want.
Yeah,
and he was right.
Do you think Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, who you may have seen in Grown Ups 2, Tom, do you think he will one day be president of the United States of America? Because the problem is Arnie couldn't be, because he's born in Austria, but the son is born in America, and the son's mother is of a Kennedy line of descent.
Yes.
So descendant of JFK Jr., who's going to rise again to help Trump. So could Arnold Schwarzenegger's son one day be the president?
With a resurrected Hillary Clinton back from the dead to help? Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Maybe we need to start an insane left-wing conspiracy to counterbalance all the right-wing conspiracies.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Who would be who's from the left that's going to come back?
Well, fuck this JFK Jr. bullshit. Where's actual JFK? If we're just going to bring people back from the dead. Yep. Of course, the actual JFK faces the slight hurdle that if he came back to life now, he would be cancelled within 0.05 seconds of reappearing, leading out of the time machine to immediately grab the nearest person walking past on the tits if they were female, or even if they were male, just in case.
Yeah, exactly. Look,
But
anyway.
we could dig someone up.
So the future of America rests on the shoulders of Arnie's son.
That's
By
right.
the sounds of it, I think. So that's good.
I'm looking for an Arnie son versus Clint Eastwood son election
Yeah.
in the next 20 years. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh, gee, that'd be pretty good, I think. Cool. So, music-wise, start of 2003, we had 8 more weeks of Eminem Lose Yourself. You may recall at the end of
That
last
was
year,
bloody
2002, people loved it off the back of 8 Mile. And into 2003, people just continued loving that. All through January,
Yeah.
all through February, they were going, we can't get enough.
I guess you can say at this point that hip hop is officially not just part of the mainstream thing, but it is becoming one of the people. And there is no longer any, partly because Eminem's white, I guess, but there is
Yep.
no longer any sort of mainstream knee jerk wariness of hip hop anymore. It is officially just normal bread and butter pop music.
It's
like
business as
everything
usual,
else.
yeah, exactly right. Correct. So you've got rappers, pop songs will have that rap verse in them,
Yep.
either a featuring or, one of the Backstreet Boys will give rapping a go.
Yep.
Generally not great, but they'll do it.
Eurobeat's got some of the sickest rhymes
Eurobeats.
ever done by a Belgian guy
Ice MC
miming
will show up.
over
Yeah,
the top of a black dude.
exactly right. So from this point on, you're right. Early 90s, a number one rap song with, as we saw with Vanilla Ice, was a novelty.
Yeah.
But by now, it's just
Through the 90s, that's just come into
Absolutely,
the mainstream.
absolutely.
And Eminem put the stamp on it by having the right skin colour. But after that, then it's open for business.
Oh, definitely. We're going to get to see a lot more coming up, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, the first new number one song of 2003, one of my favourite performers, Tom, Christina Aguilera, with Beautiful for 1 week.
Yes.
Now, what I like about Christina Aguilera is that you never know what you're going to get, Tom. That's my favourite part of Christina Aguilera's performance. This is an emotional R&B ballad, while the single that immediately preceded this was Dirty with 2 R's.
Yes.
Gonna get a little bit dirty. And in that one, if you recall the video clip, Christina looked like she'd just stepped foot off a trailer park located within a dirt bike track that was in turn located on a garbage dump. It was extremely trashy. She was...
Yes, they definitely took the name of that song literally.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just metaphorical.
No, it didn't help that the start of the song was just Redman going, dirty, filthy, nasty. Just saying those words. So it's like, what's going to happen with this? And then she's lowered into a boxing ring in a cage wearing an American flag bra, the smallest red underpants that exist, and leather chaps. And of course the song features the finest lyrics in pop. I need it to get me off sweating till my clothes come off. So, it's... And that's sort of, juxtaposed with this emotional R&B ballad. So,
Yes.
And she's also wearing a skirt that just covers her snatch and knee pads in the next scene. So knee pads is sort of, not sure where that's going. We didn't know whether she was involved in a street boxing sort of brawl or a gangbang. It was hard to tell what the direction of the song was.
Yes.
But they dialed it back about 1 billion% on this emotional ballad, piano ballad. She's still looking a bit trash because she's got that black hair under blonde that was popular at the time and a diamond lip stud, but this is less trashy than Dirty.
Yes, definitely. This is more like her earlier stuff, which I'm a little bit surprised has not shown up on here yet. She must have been in the top 5 with a few of her earlier songs.
Yeah, Genie in the Bottle, I believe,
that must
didn't
have
quite
been
crack the
getting
number
up there.
1, but yeah.
I mean, I know what you mean. Fashion-wise, this was a bad era to take the ever-popular, not a virgin anymore phase of your pop career public. When you do that, you really want to err on the side of sexy instead of trashy and maybe maintain a tiny bit of dignity.
Yeah.
You don't really want to do it in arseless chaps and a spray tan that's about 3 Pantone shades away from blackface.
Yeah.
You kind of want to do it in a classy way, like Miley Cyrus, wearing flesh-coloured plastic underpants and rubbing your vag on the guy who sang Blurred Lines.
Exactly.
With a giant foam finger
With
on
a giant
one
foam
hand,
finger,
like
yeah.
you're doing a cameo in Family Guy or something.
Yeah, look, and we can recall from that the inventor of the foam finger went on record as saying that's not what its intended purpose was. So
Yeah,
that's
the Foam
that's
Finger
good.
Guy drew the line at that performance.
He said, look, you're meant to be celebrating in sports stadiums. You're not meant to pretend to be finger blasting yourself with this giant foam finger. So, look, yeah, I know what you mean. Not the best era to be going off the teen virgin thing and into your more racier sort of image.
95 to 2005 was a fucking fashion wasteland. It truly was.
Yeah.
Every time I look up one of these videos, it's just
trashy. Yeah, it is definitely.
Professional human beings were paid considerable amounts of money to pick out the clothes and outfits for these people, and this is what they came up with. This is what was shit hot at the time. So back when I was giving shit to fucking the guy who sang Never Ending Story for his outfit choices in Kajagoogoo's song Too Shy, really, it's no worse than this, In fact, it could, in some ways, you could say it's better because he wasn't really trying to be sexy.
Well, that TLC one where they look like they're at like a bondage rave type thing.
Yeah, they look like they're electro derelict. Mugatu's rave collection.
Exactly. And look, it's interesting that you bring up the spray tan shades because you're right. If you're obviously the point of a spray tan is to make yourself darker than your regular skin colour. That's what a tan is. But if you overshoot, you are entering into some very dangerous full body blackface type scenario. So, which Iggy Azalea found out all about, I believe, just last year, Tom, in 2021, where she applied some foundation that people deemed to be slightly beyond the there's the line there where it's sort of you can go up to this line, but if you go over that, you're effectively blackfacing on Hey Hey It's Saturday.
She's one of the Star Wars prequels for a podcast. I think it was the second one, the Clones one, and in that it's the one where Natalie Portman and what's his face spend half the movie flirting and romancing each other on a planet, and for the whole time she's there, I think they filmed it in Australia and they got really dark tans, and then they've put more tan on Natalie Portman, and there's a touch of the Rachel Dolezal about her. Really, they've given her these kind of cornrowish hair. It's a weird look. I know what you mean. It's getting a bit too close to.
It's not Thomas C. Howell as the Soul Man, Tom, but it's very close to that.
It's getting towards sort of Latino cosplay kind of stuff, which is a bit like what Christina was doing here for the next few years. Doubt. Her look seemed to be dirt bike. Cosplay.
Oh, exactly. Look,
Slazzer of indeterminate race, and it really wasn't a particularly good look.
So, appearance aside, the video clip was also controversial because in the boxing scene, the boxing ring scene, there's posters in the background, all written in Thai, that promote the sex industry. So they read, quote, Thailand's sex tourism and, quote, young underage girls on these posters in the background, and they had to issue an apology to the Thai government, I believe, because
they made those posters up.
There were posters, so I believe the video clip was filmed, maybe it was filmed in Thailand, but there were posters in the background.
Oh, okay, so they were real posters.
I think they may have made them for this, but anyway, so they were in there. So certainly promoting underage sex was Christina Aguilera. So if it's revealed in several years' time that she is the female Jeffrey Epstein, let's just say that the warning signs were there in the Dirty video. So Dirty, of course, the word features 2 R's. And this was a red-hot period for adding an extra R in to a song for no apparent reason, because Nelly's Hot in Here was also 2 R's, Hot in Here, and Chingy's Right There, where there was spelt THURR. So everyone was just loving the double R.
I know you're a big Chingy fan.
Massive Chingy fan. Is Chingy the best rapper of the 2000s? Don't know. Probably not. I don't know. I don't.
Yes, I mean, let's say
he definitely is. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves, and I think the reason for that is that I'd say that he may have been cancelled because the lyrics of Chingy Jackpot are, quote, "Chingy, why your eyes so chinky? Is it because you've been smoking and drinking?" Now, what I suspect is the Chinese government may have put an end to his career.
Was Chingy actually Asian?
No, he wasn't. That's
okay.
the problem with this. So.
I mean, not that it would have been much better if he was. But
No, so I think he's used the word chinky. People have taken offence at that, and he's probably been scrubbed from the Chinese internet. And you're cutting out 1.4 billion fans right there. So
Yes.
and China, they get very funny about things, don't they? If you say, "Oh, I'm going on a holiday to the country of Taiwan," you have to then issue an
Yes.
apology, and people get really upset about that. And if you say that the president looks like Winnie the Pooh, then there's a whole thing around that. So they've got very thin skins, I think. The Chinese government,
sure,
yes,
yes.
very, very thin skin. So I think that when Chingy sort of said, "Why are your eyes so chinky?" they probably would have got very offended. Sorry, before I go on, is it okay to say for me to say the word chinky in quote marks?
Oh, look, it's
Referring
fine.
to Chingy's
Yeah,
lyrics.
you're quoting the song.
I am.
I mean, he's the one who called himself Chingy for crying out loud.
So I'm a bit worried that I may have overstepped a mark. But the point is that I think that he was going far, but I think by using this sort of language, which is obviously a derogatory term, it has very serious connotations towards Asian people, and I think that his career was halted there because he hasn't done much since.
Yeah, so far the extra R in the song title is not turning out to be a mark of quality.
No, no.
Yeah, what did you make of this actual song as opposed to Do?
It sucks. It's a piano ballad. It's pretty boring. And I doubt that she really plays this anymore.
Definitely, piano ballads seem to be the fucking flavour of the year.
They do. I can tell you why it sucks, though, because it was written by Linda Perry from Four Non Blondes.
Yes.
So she's popped up again. She wrote that trash heap for Pink a few weeks ago, and she's done this. So.
Linda Perry, the self-described hard rock outlaw who wrote for Gwen Stefani, Kelly Osbourne, Christina Aguilera, Enrique Iglesias, and Celine Dion.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently is somehow too cool for that. I'm not sure how that math works, but
yeah,
that probably explains, as you say,
Yeah, the message of the song, effectively, we're beautiful in every way and words can't bring us down. It was a song about bullying, harassment, partially on the internet, even at that time. So, internet harassment and bullying has been happening since the internet was effectively invented. I guess it's just that it took Facebook to perfect the monetization of bullying on the internet. But
really hone in on those 12-year-olds. Get started early.
Exactly. So I understand what the song's trying to say, but it is also very difficult when someone that's saying to you, "We're all beautiful in every way," is someone that is quite an attractive person. So
yes, definitely. Stripped of her terracotta-coloured spray can, yes.
But
it's not just creepy to point out that Christina Aguilera is very attractive. Like, the marketing for her first album was just gigantic close-ups of her face.
Oh,
her sort of flawless 18-year-old skin and stuff like that. So for then your next album to have a big hit with saying, "Oh, look, we're all
beautiful,"
I know what you mean. Like, sort of like Lady Gaga, a decade later, it's pretty easy to mock an attractive white person telling other middle-class white people that they're fine.
Yeah.
Not to mention that it's a bit sort of, "Girl, you look better without makeup" type thing. But like the sort of weird anti-drug message of the 80s, you can't argue with real people saying that these things made their lives better and helped them through dark times. Like when you're listening to a podcast reviewing Belgian golden shower fetish magazines of the late 70s and they read an email from a guy who says, "Hey, this podcast really helped me get over the death of my only child." I mean, who do we to argue with that, Ben? No one's paying him to say that. He just, he wrote that letter to, Belgian showers /golden.fetish /8chan/Jordan Peterson on its own,
Art works in mysterious ways.
It does.
I think
it does. People get a lot of, if some rich person who's very attractive saying, "Look, we're all fine," helps, helps people with online bullying, then good for them.
Exactly. Look, and the video itself was directed by Jonas Åkerlund, who we've spoken about before, who's done 200,000 music videos, all good. He decided to dial back the "come to Thailand to bang underage girls" angle of the previous video, and instead the video included trans and homosexual individuals, which back in 2003 must have been light years ahead of this time. So it's a very inclusive song, I think, in terms of, obviously talking about bullying, harassment, for all people. So these are sort of themes that, you know, fast forward a decade, people were still talking about.
Yeah,
so even today,
people are
still...
That would have been reasonably controversial at the time.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
like our old mate Jonas Ackland. Again, this was, in case you don't know, this was the guy who started out in Bathory, directed Pussy for Rammstein, and also Beautiful by Christina Aguilera.
Yes.
Not to mention, I mean, the video earned Aguilera and Jonas a GLAAD Media Award for its positive portrayal of gay and transgender people.
Yep.
I believe the video for Smack My Bitch Up also won a GLAAD Award for its portrayal of lesbians, which he also directed. So, you know, he's 2 for 2 there.
He is absolutely right. The Smack My Bitch Up video is a much better video than this one. I will say that, but
Yes.
that's okay. So, look, apparently when she recorded the song, she recorded it in tears, thinking about some of the past abuse that she'd suffered and wanted to do a retake that was, you know, she didn't think it was technically proficient enough. She wanted something, but she was convinced to use the raw take because it was more emotional. So one take, walks in, does the song, in tears, pumps it out, one and done. So the dude who mixed the song said it was one of the most honest vocal performances he's ever heard. And, you know, that's quite refreshing in this era of auto-tune bullshit where people can't sing. Because Christina, the other thing about Christina is that she actually has a good voice. And she can actually sing, which is a novelty in pop music around this time.
I mean, it took her a while up until kind of this point even, I would say, possibly later, to shake off the kind of, you know, Britney Spears hanger-on sort of image that she had, not helped by those, as I said, giant posters.
And was she a Mouseketeer or something as well? Probably?
Yeah, she was one of those. And, but, yeah, this really, what I was going to say was, compared to Britney from this era, she's definitely a better singer than Britney. Like, you know, yeah.
Absolutely. So, look, she won a Grammy for this song, and the Grammys were shitting themselves when she received the award, as she was wearing a very revealing outfit at the Grammys. And at this time, it was only a few weeks earlier than this that Janet Jackson's famous cans out at the Super Bowl incident occurred. So, I think any sort of TV with outfits that were slightly revealing. If Justin Timberlake was anywhere near people, they just sort of ushered him off to the side. They were afraid that something was going to happen and there was going to be a bit of a can out type scenario. Sure. So anyway, but look, Christina to this day still has 20 million Spotify listeners.
Wow.
So that's a lot. So she's still hammering it out. People love this 20 years on. You can pick this up for 19 cents on the Discogs, which is about what these CD singles that they've made 100 billion of sort of sell for. What about the lyrics?
Well, Beautiful has been widely embraced as an anthem by the LGBT community for its message of self-empowerment and inner beauty. As said, it won a GLAAD Award. In 2011, UK LGBT rights organisation Stonewall named Beautiful the most empowering song of the previous decade for gay, lesbian and bisexual people. Nice. Which is, you know, I mean, obviously It's Raining Men came second, but yeah, I mean, really it's more sort of general than that. To all your friends, you're delirious, so consumed in all your doom, trying hard to fill the emptiness, the piece is gone, left the puzzle undone, is that the way it is? You are beautiful no matter what they say, words can't bring you down, oh no, because you're beautiful in every single way. It might be a nice sentiment, but nobody is beautiful in every single way, Ben, let's face it.
That's true.
Even Sofia Vergara lays the accent on a bit thick, and I've heard from reliable inside source that when you get right up close, you can totally tell that Channing Tatum is just a bunch of beavers in a trench coat.
Exactly, he's not a real person. I've always said that.
Yeah, that's why he never appears in Blu-ray, because when you get the HD, you can see up close that,
exactly.
It's a bit too much wriggling going on.
Why is it that all of Channing Tatum's films are released straight to VHS? Why is that?
That's right.
We know. Right. So that's good. So this song is so a GLAAD 2011. They said
yes, it became a gay anthem. Even though, like you say, I mean, the video presents that a little bit, but really the song is just a general message of, like a lot of Lady Gaga's later stuff. Just, you know, you're fine how you are. You know. Yeah. If people say you're full of shit, then fuck them. Which is good.
Exactly right. Exactly. But good the thing is, Tom, that the problem that, as you mentioned, was that this song never had to compete with a good cock these days is hard to find because
No, that's true.
that was never released.
That's
but if
true.
that had
Or
have been
even existed.
if that had have existed and been released,
Yes.
where would that debate be?
That's
We don't
true.
know. Fergal Sharkley could have entered that sort of, the debate, the story, I guess, about that, but he didn't do it. It's his loss. So
Boom Boom, Let's Go Back to My Room as well, I understand.
Paul Lukakus, yeah, absolutely. He's definitely in the equation, I think, with that one.
I'm still waiting for the Lukakus sound to come back.
The Lukaku, I'm waiting for the Lukaku story. I think that's sort of, we've seen a Motley Crue biopic, we've seen NWA.
He certainly seems to have led an interesting,
I think a Lukaku
morally
story.
dubious life.
He's a pop star, he's a model, he's HIV positive while working as a gigolo. It's all it sounds like just an unhindered thrill ride, Tom, that I think, and it's the soundtrack is right there. Just
That's
boom,
right.
boom, let's go back to my room.
And there's
on
the title
repeat.
of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I'll talk to Netflix, send them
See
an
what they
email,
can
see
do,
what they're
sure.
up to. So
Okay,
definitely.
so who's up next then?
Up next for 2 weeks is Delta Goodrem with Lost Without You.
Speaking of piano ballads,
Look, this sucks too. I think what I've learnt is that Delta has
lose
run
yourself to this shit.
a very sort of similar theme through all of her material, which is a piano ballad. They all sort of blur in. I listened to all of them. I couldn't say I've listened to them for the best part of, since they probably came out. And even at the time, I wouldn't have actively listened to them. I would have just been on, in a shop or on Neighbours or some bullshit. But I listened to them all. They sort of all blend into each other. They're very, very similar. I'm not sure who listens to this. And I think the answer is, in 2022, the answer to that is almost no one. Because this is the biggest, as we reviewed last week, one of the biggest selling albums in Australia from an Australian artist of all time.
Yes.
Yet she only has 800,000 Spotify listeners a month. And to put that in comparison, we'll learn later on in the podcast, that's sort of the same number as some dog shit dudes. So
Yeah, I mean, she's an exclusively Australian phenomenon.
That's
really.
true.
She had almost, I think
Kylie has 20 million Spotify listeners.
Yes, and
Delta's
Kylie was
got-
a big hit in the UK
Yeah,
as well.
that's true.
Delta didn't even really crack the UK, I don't think. Although,
She was
some
on
of her-
Neighbours though, and the UK people love that
I mean,
shit.
that song last year that we talked about, that had a little bit of overseas play, but I mean, I think that was just diminishing returns with this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
But like you say, I mean, she was huge in Australia. I can't deny that. And as you say, as we talked about last week, the reason that she's so stuck in this mode, I think, was because they gave her one shot at
Britney style pop.
at being a sort of poppier, high energy kind of thing. And it didn't work dramatically, didn't work at all. And so then this was an immediate success. So if that happens with an unimaginative record company like all of the ones in Australia, then it's going to be, they're just going to play that shit till it dies.
No, look, exactly. I completely agree. Look, this is better than Born to Try, I think, this song. I feel like it was... I like this one a little bit more than Born to Try. But that's like saying David Bowie's work on the Labyrinth soundtrack where he duets with a puppet is better than his drum and bass period. So, faint praise, Tom. Faint praise.
I actually quite liked his drum and bass period, but then I am a massive dork.
How does it compare to the puppet duets from the Labyrinth?
Oh, look, it's not as good as
Magic
the
Dance,
Laughing Gnome song.
Yeah.
That's his career highlight, I think. Lost Without You. The title is every bit as exciting as the song. This is a cover, actually, of a song performed by J.C. Velasquez and created by Matthew Gerard, Bridget Bennett Nate songwriting team, who together have penned song for artists including Hannah Montana and Hilary Duff. So they've really diversified.
But look, this sucks, but it is in the past. So I guess the question is not what was Delta doing, but what is she doing? So Delta announced sort of, I think, probably about a year or so ago that she's living in a music bubble. She's working on her 6th studio album. So, she's probably grown as an artist. She's probably not just doing exclusive piano ballads anymore. I'm sure there's some other stuff in the mix. So 12 months in that bubble, working hard, day and night, just trying to tease some more material out. And, a year later, we were able to see the fruits of her labour with Only Santa Knows, her first Christmas album. So she's really put the hard yards in there to come out with something that everyone needs. So
What does Only Santa know, Ben?
that's a good question. What does Santa know that no one else knows? I'm not sure. Sort of. He probably knows how to get to every household in the world in a sort of 24-hour period, I guess.
True.
Only through reindeer power. So, look, yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I think when you're saying you're in a music bubble, you're working as hard as you've ever worked, I'm spending 12 months on this, and you pump out a bullshit Christmas album, then I don't really know.
Yeah.
Don't really know.
Neither
Only
does-
Santa knows.
Only Santa knows.
Yep.
Exactly.
So, look, I will say this, though. If her next album is entitled The Delta Variant, then I'd consider that a missed opportunity. I
That's
really
true.
would.
She's really got a limited time to cash in on that.
Yeah,
People
for
are
sure.
already starting to forget the Delta
Forget
variant.
the Delta Variant, exactly.
Unless she changes her surname to Omicron or something like that.
Yeah, I feel bad for all those rap metal artists that
Yep.
have done a Delta Variant album, and then people will be like, what are you talking about? So, does this have any lyrical highlights?
Well, for a song with such an uninspiring, some might say brain-dead title, the lyrics reveal a surprising wealth of ambiguity and subtext. All I know is I'm lost without you, I'm not gonna lie, how am I gonna be strong without you, I need you by my side. If we ever say we'd never be together and we ended with goodbye, I don't know what I'd do, I'm lost without you. I keep trying to find my way, yeah, but all I know is I'm lost without you. I keep trying to face the day, but all I find is I'm lost without your love. I keep trying to find my way, and all I know is that I'm lost without you. Oh, I'm lost without you, I'm lost without you, I'm lost without you, I'm lost without you, I'm lost without you. Now, can you help me figure out what she's trying to say there, Ben? Because frankly, I'm a bit lost without you.
Look, I don't know what she's trying to say there. I feel like it's something to do with Santa, which I think she'll probably... I think, it asks a lot of questions, and I think those questions are answered 6 albums later in the Christmas album. But yeah, just from reading those lyrics, I couldn't tell that they're very varied and there's a lot happening there. So probably have to read between the lines. A lot of metaphor, a lot of simile.
Yes, to be fair, I can't blame that one on Delta. And I suppose, depressingly, as things will keep rolling on, at least she wrote most of this album.
Oh, yeah, of course.
At least this is actually written by a human being who can play an actual instrument and sing with her own voice hole. And some of her own lyrics,
And that's the thing, I guess, Tom. The fact that
Yes.
this was the biggest selling, or one of the biggest selling Australian albums by an Australian artist of all time, and she wrote the songs, means that she pocketed a lot of that cash.
Yeah.
You're not writing your own songs, that goes to the songwriters, some of
Yes.
those royalties. So the fact that she performed this herself, wrote the songs herself, she probably made more money off this album than she ever needs. So she can probably just go and churn out bullshit, and it really doesn't matter. So,
Yeah, good on her.
So good on her for that. So, yeah. No, credit where credit's due. So
Sure.
definitely.
Speaking of authenticity, what's up next?
Tattoo. All the things she said for 2 weeks.
Tattoo, you mean T...
T-A-T-U.
T period A period T period U period. Yes.
Do you think Tattoo would get cancelled these days for fake lesbian bullshit? Do you think people would be like, this isn't real?
Yeah.
You're done?
It's one of those weird questions, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure people would tie themselves in knots arguing about this shit on Twitter. At the
Well, that's the
time,
thing.
everyone just thought it was fucking tacky as fuck.
Yep. I mean, are you drawing attention to, sort of, I guess, gay issues and equality by doing this?
Yes.
But then when the whole thing is fabricated, does that make it okay?
Yeah.
When you're doing it for the purpose of trying to shift records, but you're also,
Yes.
drawing attention to serious issues.
From during this same bad fashion period, the 95 to 2005, a whole lot of shit got let off the hook under the guise of raising awareness. You could do just about anything if it was qualified as raising awareness. If you got caught exposing yourself to children in a public park, you could probably be let off if you said that you were raising awareness of sexually transmitted diseases, in that you also had chlamydia at the time. It was pretty much, you didn't actually have to do anything about the thing that you were raising
Yeah, that's
awareness
true.
of. You just had to mention it in some context that other people would then be forced to hear about it. And so you could probably get away, back in this days, they probably got away with raising awareness of the gay issues facing teens, despite the fact that they weren't actually gay.
Yeah, look, it was...
and had nothing to say about the issues at all in any way, and were cashing in on it and profiting on it. Much the same way that Kim Kardashian is raising awareness of her own tits by taking photos of them in a mirror and posting it on Instagram to get money.
Yeah, very much so. Look, it's safe to say that Tattoo was a high wire act. I'm not sure they were able to pull it off. Difficult, but...
They were Russian, they didn't give a
They
shit.
were. Look, the whole thing was whack as hell, but, I guess, when the marketing gimmick is, oh, they're lesbians, then the only way that can succeed as a marketing gimmick is if there's some sort of controversy in that in itself. So, and by that I mean, as a society, we go, oh, there's some elements of society that still find that to be shocking. So
even in 2003, the whole, oh, I'm a lesbian, how edgy is that? How interesting does that make me thing was a bit old. By that point,
Yeah, oh, of course.
The days of, oh, look, there's going to be two girls almost making out on Ally McBeal tonight had been and gone as a rating spike.
Yeah.
This was already pretty tired at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
And, but that said, titillation goes a long way in sales terms, and it went a long way for these people,
Yeah, look, they were only 17 when this was released in the English-speaking market, so that might have been the controversy.
You can't really blame them about that. Yes, that's true as well. They were controversial even in Russia, even by Russian standards at the time, because Russia still now takes a fairly disapproving view of homosexuality. Was worse 20 years ago, and the fact they were underage as well, and that was sort of the whole appeal of them was was fairly controversial. So obviously the people who came up with it went, oh, controversy, we're onto a good thing, let's get this overseas as quickly as we can.
Definitely. And look, it's clear for my mind that if there was a girl duo today in 2022 that said, oh, we're also lesbians, no one would give a flying fuck. So we've clearly moved on in the last 2 decades,
You'd need another element like implied incest, Veronica style, or
exactly.
I don't know. One of them would have to have a black eye and accuse the other one of domestic violence or something if you wanted to get on the TV with that now. But I know what you mean. Young pop stars are attracted to each other would not be enough to get you.
We've moved on,
MTV awards.
Exactly. Look, tattoo is an abbreviation of a Russian phrase meaning this girl loves that girl. The whole concept of a group built around fake teen lesbianism, it's a wild idea when you think about it, that some middle-aged men formed a fake teen lesbian duo to exploit them for money. Yeah, because when you think of these groups, the teenagers the young people are getting exploited anyway, whether it's the Backstreet Boys, even big names like that, in the sense that you tend to be an employee of a manager, someone else comes in and writes all the songs, you're not getting any of the songwriting royalties, you're up there performing, you're probably getting paid not that well, a lot of these people are touring the whole year round, not making that much money despite the fact they are famous. So then with Tattoo, you throw in the extra element of, we're keeping all the cash. Yeah. Oh, and you have to pretend to be in a relationship as well.
Oh, yes. And on your live tours, you also have to strip as well.
Yeah. Oh, and if you could make out a bit, that would be great.
Yes.
So the whole thing was completely nuts when you think about it.
It's not great. I mean, this is the point where 21st century sex positivity still looks a shitload like old-fashioned 20th century exploitation of underage girls.
Yeah.
If Lena Katina and Julia Volkova had actually been a couple, that would be one thing, but they weren't even gay, for fuck's sake. I mean, sure, it's probably a step up from appearing in Russian porn pretending to be gay, but then you don't usually do that in front of 500 million people at the MTV Awards, permanently edited into the cultural consciousness of the world forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that this is actually quite a good song. I think it's catchy.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Well, I think we've just come off the back of 2 piss-weak, dog-shit piano ballads. So, anything will look good to that.
It has an energy to it.
It does have
an
energy.
It has a sense of energy.
And that's because that was the song was written by Trevor Horn, the man who wrote Video Killed the Radio Star, for a start, and also worked on Frankie Goes to Hollywood's debut album, including all those hits. So Relax, he produced that. So he's, when it comes to things with dubious sexual content, he's all over that. So
well, good work.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw something the other day about Relax, and apparently the band recorded it, and Trevor Horn, the producer, was just like, none of you guys are any good, so he just re-recorded the whole thing, did it basically the whole thing himself, and then the band members were like, oh, we're not involved in this at all, and he was like, yeah, sorry about that, you're just too shit. So look, it's all good on them.
Well, it worked well for Tattoo as well. So
yeah,
it was onto something.
definitely. So I also recall that I think the world, well, maybe not the world, but certainly probably in Russia and some other countries, went into another meltdown when they performed at Eurovision and held hands.
Yeah,
so,
this is what I mean. Like, on some levels, 2003 seems quite recent.
Yeah.
And on other times, it seems like we have gone through a fair
they're
bit
holding
since
hands at Eurovision.
Yeah, like my favourite, along those same lines, my favourite Tattoo moment was when they performed the less successful follow-up, Not Gonna Get Us, at the MTV Music Awards. Did you see that one?
No.
Did you see that one at the time? It was only, I think it was only the year after this.
Oh, shit, okay.
Per the controversy about the holding hands,
Yep.
prurient speculation was at a height because MTV always tries to do something controversial. They always try to outdo the last person. Plus, it usually backfires, making them and the artist look like fuckwits. But then everybody else gets to pretend to be outraged, which is the main thing in America. So, yeah. Also, back before Check's Watch, about 8:30 this morning, America wasn't super chill about same-sex teenage makeouts on live TV.
Yeah.
So there were plenty that could have gone wrong. And there was, well, are they going to make out? They've already held hands. What's going to happen? So anyway, Tattoo are introduced by Hilary Duff and Amanda Bynes. So shit's off to a good start
Jesus,
already.
okay.
Music kicks off. Tattoo starts singing in the aisles as they approach the stage through the audience, and are then followed by at least 200 young dancers dressed in the kind of gear Harvey Weinstein thinks a schoolgirl uniform looks like. They fill up the whole stage and all the aisles and dance around while the girls sing at the front of the stage. Until what you could sort of charitably call the breakdown of the song, at which point every dancer whips off their short schoolgirl skirt and throws it into the crowd. So now you have a couple of hundred young women in their underpants, and then the song ends. The lead singers haven't kissed each other, so Rupert Murdoch doesn't have to rewrite tomorrow's front pages. But every single dancer then starts making out with the dancer next to them over the last bars of the song as the camera pulls away to show the sort of orgiastic pseudo-lesbian throng surrounding the main singers who haven't actually made out with each other.
Fantastic.
And then, just to round it off, there's my favourite cutaway right at the end. It's a shot of Puff Daddy jumping on his feet, chair knocked over, arms above his head, waving half a dozen skirts in each hand, looking like he's just seen God's vagina up close. I'm 100% sure he's crying, although experts couldn't confirm that because he is, it goes without saying, wearing sunglasses indoors.
It goes without saying.
He just looks like he's having the time of his fucking life. I don't even know, he must have fought other people for those skirts. I'm sure he's got them framed at home somewhere.
Oh,
it's
no
like
doubt.
the best night of his whole life, I think that was.
Look, he's a music memorabilia fan, is P. Diddy, so no doubt he has those frames somewhere in his house, along with his, Grammys and all that other shit around.
I mean,
so it's fantastic.
So they get credit for that bit of
For pushing
entertainment,
the
if
boundaries,
nothing else. But yeah, I'm sure they had nothing to do with organising that, but yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. America's a weird country, isn't it?
That's right, it's strange, isn't it? We can't have two performers on stage make out who are 17, but we can have 200 people who are 19 make out around them.
Yep.
Because you don't know what their names are in their underpants. That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it what happens when you have a society where people are both seem to be very religious?
Yep.
Combined with some sort of bizarre look at me showmanship element.
Yeah.
So you end up with, in some ways, America seems very sex positive, but then when you do that, then there's always an immediate backlash by the 50% of the population that still thinks that it's 1812 and it's like, God. Yeah.
Much like in Japan, you end up with this society where titillation becomes very highly valued.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that you can't show in certain segments, which makes the idea of hinting at it becomes much more, it becomes a whole industry in itself. I mean, the entire cheerleading thing, for instance, this idea of a highly sexualized thing, which is then completely pretending it has nothing to do with sex and it's just this healthy, normal thing. It's all very weird. And what you can show versus what you can't show, You can't show, Janet Jackson's boob for 0.5 of a second. But
Exactly.
You can have 200 almost naked people kissing each other on stage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, look, what I was glad to see was that they pulled Tattoo out to perform at the opening ceremony of the Sochi Winter Olympics back in 2014.
Oh, okay.
Just to prove that they weren't in a gulag, I think, so because I hadn't seen them for some time.
You say that, although their last album was titled Waste Management. So I hope that wasn't a hint about their forthcoming employment options in Putin's Russia. But,
Yikes, yeah, we don't know. Are they still alive and well? I hope so.
I mean, if you piss off the management in Russia, I guess you're lucky if your last album's not called Radioactive Government Breakfast. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're still alive for Sochi, I guess that's something.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I should point out that both members of Tattoo featured in Maxim's Russia's top 100 sexiest girls issue.
Not going to ask
not just one, but two.
Underage or not?
It was post. It was a bit later on in the career, so I believe they were over the age of 18 at that time.
In case anyone gets too nostalgic about the death of print media, it is worth noting that, holy fuck, there were a lot of shithouse magazines around.
Yeah, there wasn't there?
For example, another one, in July 2002, Blender praised Tattoo by saying, "We have seen the future of rock and roll. To say you've never seen or heard anything quite like it is a colossal understatement." And Tattoo were then heralded by The Fates magazine as the hottest pop stars in the world right now. Both of those statements were made by people whose opinions you were not merely expected to listen to, but actually pay for, in the form of a mashed up tree that you looked at and then threw away. I mean, really, let's not get too nostalgic for the era of 15 different kinds of men's magazine.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They've all died by the wayside. I don't know if there's any left in Australia. Probably not. Like, did Ralph? Don't think survive. But I'm sure in the UK there's still about 8 because they love that shit over there. So
well, presumably all those people are just reading the chive online now. But at least you don't have to cut down large forests to produce the chive.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. So, look, what's the legacy of Tattoo? I don't really know. I think now people probably just look back at it as being some fake bullshit that was a bit stupid and weird.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, even at the time, it seemed fairly obviously exploitative.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a brief period where people thought that they were actually a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the song was voted number 1 in a readers' poll of top 50 lesbian songs on AfterEllen.com, although clearly the editors hated it. I don't imagine their opinions changed much after Julia from the band got pregnant in 2014 and said she wouldn't support a gay son. Say what you like about Russians, Ben, but can you ever accuse them of fucking around?
Not really, no.
I put it to you that you can't.
No, straight to the point. Very much so. You may not agree with them, but you've got to respect them for staying the course. So definitely, look. So they've still got 6 million listeners. So they're obviously on some sort of best of the early 2000s.
They had at least
or some
4
shit.
albums in Russia, so it's possible that
They're probably
still
massive
have
in
a
Russia,
fan base there. But
Absolutely, and this will cost you 26 cents on Discogs, so go pick yourself up a copy. Are there any lyrical highlights?
Well, 5 people...
Run into my head. I just remember that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. 5 people have claimed responsibility for this song, and none of them are Lena and Julia. So credit really needs to go to the co-producer, Alina Kuiper, who went on the gas at the dentist and had a dream about kissing a girl, a dream I once had but gave up on a while ago. That gave the half-written song that she'd been working on already with her songwriting partner about the usual naff teenage, we're in love but the world doesn't understand us bollocks, the pronoun swap it needed to force the singers to strip off and make out on tour and push the song into the popular consciousness. Without that, you've just got 4 choruses that sound exactly like this. All the things she said, all the things she said, running through my head, running through my head, running through my head, all the things she said, all the things she said, running through my head, running through my head, all the things she said, repeat until nauseous. And if it's just a teenage boy and a teenage girl singing that, who gives a fuck? You certainly are not going to be headlining the MTV Awards in another country on the strength of that shit. Yeah,
Absolutely
They've got to be pseudo-lesbians for that to work.
Yeah, look, indeed. I don't know whether we'll hear much more from Tattoo in this podcast or just in general life ever again.
Well,
Who
I was
knows?
hoping waste management might pop up again, but
Yeah, definitely. One can only hope. So, up next for 5 weeks is one of my favourites, 50 Cent, Into Club.
oh yeah, that was huge.
Now, this is red
boy.
hot. Let me just say that. You can find me in the club. So
Oh,
that's
I can
sick.
find you in the
You can
club.
find me in
That's
the club.
good.
I think they're sick lyrics because it's sort of just like, where can you find me? So I'll be in the club. I'm just always in the club.
That's true.
Just hanging out. Now, most people know the 50 Cent story, I guess. So he was signed to a record label, got shot a few times. I think he'd recorded an album, copped a few bullets. The record label were a bit like, this doesn't seem a good situation to have someone who's sort of involved in. I think when he was younger, he's talked about being actively involved in the drug trade
was a
and the
crack
gangster.
dealer,
He was
yes.
a legitimate sort of drug
Getting
dealer.
shot
gangster.
9 times inside a parked car is one of the one of the OHSA hazards of being a crack dealer, I understand.
Exactly. So that happened. His record contract, the album didn't come out, but then he released, I think, a mixtape after that. Caught the attention of like Eminem and Dr. Dre, those sorts of guys. And then, this sort of obviously went on to be, the big star that he is. But so this is I think one of his first singles that he released. But just before this single was released for his big album that came out after that, 50 Cent, he had a song on the 8 Mile soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
So it was actually the second single off the soundtrack to be released after that Eminem hit that we talked about before.
Yep.
So that was his first single to chart in the US. Mm-hmm. So that was sort of where he got his beginnings through that sort of 8 Mile sort of thing. So the song is about wannabe gangsters, because he was like a real gangster and sort of wanting to write a song about wannabe gangsters. So the title combined wannabe and gangster, and I know what you're thinking. Wangster is not a great name for a song. As Wang is sort of slang for dick, so Wangster sort of has a bad connotation. But don't worry, 50 Cent was able to avoid the dick connotation by titling the song Wankster, which has no other connotation whatsoever. So mission accomplished there. I don't know.
It's great, isn't it? I mean, by pure coincidence, Wankster was what I'd already been yelling out of car windows at white guys in cross-colours jeans doing pimp limps down the street from where they caught a bullet in the South Ulverston projects for years earlier. So that was convenient when he released that song.
Look, I'm just glad that he just went, Wangster's no good. Wankster, though, that's totally fine. He claimed that he didn't know that wank was like a word.
It works either way. It does work either way. I find it interesting that 50 Cent was discovered by... Eminem was discovered by Dr. Dre, obviously, and then 50 Cent was discovered by Eminem. And I also find it interesting that they were both about the same age. They both led difficult lives, but also both what attracted them to people partly was their sense of humour. And they started off being quite witty and keen to just give shit to other people. A lot of 50 Cent's early stuff was just disses and just him paying out people randomly, because when you're not on a label you can do whatever the fuck you like. But on his mixtapes and stuff. But then as soon as they got popular, then they immediately had wanted to sort of double down on being not just serious but kind of over serious. It's though they were both trying to overcompensate for the fact that they had released kind of semi-jokey songs at first, and I don't think 50 Cent cracked a smile until the end of 2017.
Exactly. He's overly serious with his brooding, look at this.
It just in his public image was just so dour and everything. It's just weird. I don't know.
Exactly.
Anyway.
The video for this implies that 50 Cent was created in a lab by Dr. Dre and Eminem himself. So I'm not sure how much of this is true. I don't know. Perhaps we can start an investigative podcast to determine if 50 Cent is a cyborg or grown from stem cells. Because in the video, I think they're both wearing lab coats and they're sort of in there and they're going, and then 50 Cent pops up and he's like...
So he's still kind of jokey. They're still being a little bit
They're
jokey.
being a bit wacky, definitely, but not super wacky.
I'm not sure if they built him in a lab but he certainly did look a bit like if you took Nelly and managed to clone a version of what Nelly sees when he looks in the mirror.
Okay.
E.g. a straight-up cold-faced gangster who's super jacked and can get away with a do-rag under a hat.
Yep.
Instead of, for instance, a slightly basehead-looking dork with a pedo mustache and a Band-Aid on his noggin,
Yeah,
which is what the rest of the world sees when they look at Nelly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like 50 Cent in this, he does look hard. He does look like someone that could fuck you up. Like,
Oh,
he does
absolutely.
Look
He
like
looks
a
like
genuinely serious.
Yeah, if you
dude.
bought drugs off him, you would not try and rip him off. I don't
No,
think.
he does look like a badass, so I would totally give him that. The song starts off with the classic lyric, Tom. Shorty, it's your birthday, gonna party like it's your birthday. So everyone knows that from the start of this song.
Yes.
And that's borrowed from a 1994 song performed by Luther Campbell, who's a member of one of my favourite groups, Two Live Crew.
Sure.
Who's Pop That Coochie, featured in my favourite music videos of the 90s. And I believe 50 Cent said, quote, every day it's someone's birthday, so it never loses its relevance. You can't argue with that, can you?
Well, weirdly, he does argue with that in the next line of the song, where he says, yo, we don't give a fuck, it's not your birthday.
Jeez.
Which is slightly undermining his own argument
Damn.
there.
God
like,
damn.
if you don't care, then why pretend... Anyway. But yes, I agree. The Miami-based DJ song Birthday Jam that this is lifted from is a fucking banger.
Yeah, yeah.
And would get any dance floor pumping to this day. I'll tell you what. Sure, it does sound a bit more like 1984 than 1994, but that just tells you that a dance floor filler is a timeless thing, Ben, I reckon. You know, and this is a dance floor filler, and it still gets played. It's, you know... Just you don't even need to hear... This kicks off before the vocals have even started. Just as soon as you hear that doo-doo... It's like a Michael Jackson song or something.
Yeah,
just,
absolutely.
You know, people just start
Gets you cranking. It was
running
a big
for the
club.
dance floor. Yeah,
Definitely, as you can imagine.
It got played in nightclubs like Eminem, places where EDM places where you wouldn't even think this would go. They would just have a remix with 120 BPMs thanks to DJ Sammy behind it, and they'd still play it. You know, it was great.
Yeah, apparently some DJs would be forced to play this twice in a row to meet demand. People just wanted it that much.
But
Doesn't go for long
if you
enough.
don't play this twice, you're going to have drunk Hens Night screaming at you all evening, so you might as well just play it.
in the club. Play that one where he's in the club. So I saw 50 Cent on Cribs, Tom, several years ago now, and he bought Mike Tyson's old mansion. And let me just say it was fucking nuts. It had like 8 kitchens or something like that. And 50 Cent was touring, like sort of showing around the house and just literally saying, I've never been in this room before. I've never been in this kitchen.
Wow.
This oven has never been used before. So I always find those mansions where it's sort of, I understand having several bathrooms, that's fair enough, but I don't really know why 6 kitchens are necessary.
It's weird, isn't it?
But yeah, look, it was pretty good. He hadn't been into a lot of those rooms. And he had a nightclub in the basement, which was sick. So yeah.
Sure. I mean, that is fucking nuts. He bought that house, apparently, just from the earnings from this one song.
Oh, sweet.
That was after Eminem had already signed him for $1 million.
Yep.
Yeah, but just this one song was enough to get him that fucking 6-kitchen mansion. So that shows you how fucking massive this was. And he must have got a good deal as well. I like to imagine that Dr. Dre gave Eminem a good deal, so Eminem gave fucking
I
him a
think
good
so.
deal.
I think so. You know, passing it on, so to speak.
Yeah.
Everyone can make some money in the music business if you're not a complete fuckwit.
And fucking 50 Cent brought up his mates, those G Unit, those 3 other dickheads that he hung out with. They, you know, like Eminem did with D12 as well. They were like some of his old posse. He sort of got them on the radio too, you know? It's kind of cool.
Exactly. And I guess that's the thing. If you recognise talent and you're signing good artists, then you should be able to make money in that sort of ecosystem, whereas the major labels just play that sort of, you know, scattergun, let's just throw everything at the wall, and then you have artists sort of, you know, the big sellers of the day that end up having to subsidise, you know, your bare naked ladies or something like that because they've signed them to a 12-album deal and given them all this money, and then after a one-hit wonder, it's just like, oh, we're losing a lot of money off that. But fortunately, we've got that Radiohead cash that we can use to sort of do that. So it's just one big artist paying for the 20 pieces of shit that sort of come along. Whereas
these guys were ahead of their time. They were onto a good model moving into the next millennium.
Yeah, absolutely right.
You know,
absolutely.
Because the 80s, 90s music industry is... They're on the way out now.
Yeah.
They're, you know, that giant, entropic, wasteful money steamroller model is just going down. It's going down like Maxim magazine, buddy, in flames
No
into
doubt.
the gutter, and no one gives a fuck.
So 50 Cent had a heap of other top 10 hits, but this is his only number one in Australia. So we won't get to talk about him anymore on the podcast, unfortunately. So I think this is probably a good time for me to mention that in 2014, you could purchase his album Animal Ambition with Bitcoin, which in 2014 was like a pretty crazy idea. So he was the first artist to do that. He was the first artist that allowed people to use cryptocurrency to buy his album. And at the time, one Bitcoin was worth about $600, but it's now worth 100 times that.
Wow.
So he made 700 Bitcoins from the sale of the album, which is now worth about $40 million. So I hope he held on to that. But then he subsequently, so he came out and went, yeah, I've got those Bitcoins. And then he forgot about them, and then he went, oh, I've got a heap of money. But then he had to deny he had them because he went bankrupt at some stage.
Oh,
so
okay.
he was like, oh, remember how I said I've got all those Bitcoins? I don't have those.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yep.
But, it's pretty interesting that he had to backflip on that. But I think purportedly he's got some cash squirreled away somewhere, so it's good. Are you a fan of his acting work, Tom?
I tend to forget that he was an actor, but he did pop up in a few things, didn't he?
Oh, for sure.
What
My favourite role of his is he plays a computer hacker in the Sylvester Stallone vehicle Escape Plan.
Okay.
There's the Escape Plan trilogy.
I don't think I've seen any of that trilogy.
Remember The Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
Where one of the people in The Shawshank Redemption broke out of the prison?
Yep.
Remember that? Or remember Fortress with Christopher Lambert, where he had to break out of the prison?
I see.
Or Prison Break, the TV series, where someone had... This is the same thing. Sylvester Stallone, I believe, they're always convicted of something that they never did. They always do that. So Sylvester Stallone's in the prison. Arnie's in there. This is after his governor shit's run out. Okay. So Arnie's back. And then they try and break out of the prison, and 50 Cent plays a computer hacker who's going to somehow hack into the mainframe and take down the security system.
Was this a sort of Expendables prequel type thing?
I don't know about that, but it was Stallone, sort of later period Stallone, but they turned it into... I watched the first one, it was fucking woeful, but it obviously made enough money where they decided to churn out two more. It had that sort of vibe of, we can probably make this for about $5 million, and then we'll be able to put it on streaming services, and we can make $10 million, so we make enough to sort of keep going. So, not so good, but 50 Cent, great turn as the hacker.
He's been in a few other things, little bit roles like that. He also featured in several video games, including 50 Cent Bulletproof and 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, where he defeats Al-Qaeda by accident while trying to retrieve a diamond-encrusted skull stolen by terrorists after payment for a gig. An event so common, people found it boring and didn't buy enough copies to get a sequel, unfortunately.
Jeez. Was it a first-person shooter?
It was a third-person shooter where he did all the voice work for all the cutscenes, which means that you get to hear him call random women bitches about 400,000 times just during random gameplay.
Nice.
So that's an authentic element that I'm glad they kept in there.
Good. Well, it's good to see that they went for third-person shooter, because I would have been disappointed if they had have just rehashed Parappa the Rapper from PlayStation 1. The rapping, just 50 Cent, where you had to hammer the triangle button to make the dude rap. So.
I was a fan of, what was it? Back to the Street. Something : Back to the Street was a game where it was like a Street Fighter 2 style fighting game.
Yep.
Except starring only hip hop guys.
Oh, good.
It was weirdly kind of... It was like a sort of WWF game.
But with rappers in it.
Yes, good. But with just rappers. I'm not sure what the fuck that was about, but... Def Jam.
Oh, good. Yes. All the Def Jam artists in it. Yeah, fantastic.
Yes, and some other ones. And,
Excellent.
You could unlock Vanilla Ice or something like
Excellent. That. Look, there's a storied history, I think, of rapping video games, the one you just mentioned there about Def Jam, 50 Cent, obviously, in that game that he had. Let's not forget Crisscross, Make My Video on Sega CD, where you got to edit that Crisscross video together.
Let's not forget Shark Fu, where side-scrolling SNES era Shaquille O'Neal-based sort of shooting, fighting game, sort of.
Shaquille O'Neal, definitely. Yeah, Shaq Fu was fantastic, and of course people are saying, but Tom, wasn't he a basketball player? But we forget that he was also a rapper, so he did all the stuff. Basketball, rapping, video games, acting. He was in the Shazam, the one that
That's right. That may or may not exist. Depending on which reality we're inhabiting at the moment.
Yeah, in the alternate reality, it's I think Shaq's in our reality. In the alternate reality, it's
Sinbad.
Sinbad,
basketball
correct.
Star. Yeah,
exactly. So, so look, 50 Cent, 20 million Spotify listeners, and you can buy this for 2 cents, which is a deal. Go pick one up. It's good to have that physical copy. Just think, if the internet ever goes down, Spotify's out of action, you're going to need a few CDs stashed away to play, and I think this would get you pumped up. So.
How many million did you say?
20 million
Wow,
on Spotify, so it's a lot. What are the lyrical highlights of this, apart from, Shorty, it's your birthday, which obviously...
Yeah, not counting Shorty, it's your birthday. Here's the only 4 bars I could find that didn't have the N-word in them.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm fully focused, man. My money on my mind. Got to mill out the deal, and I'm still on the grind. Now, Shorty said she feeling my style, she feeling my flow. Her girlfriend with her, they buy, and they ready to go.
Ooh.
Now, I know that sounds hot, but I don't want to disappoint you, Ben, but after he bones those 2 strangers, it does unfortunately turn out that they have ulterior motives and are only after Mr. Cent for his money.
Oh, no.
Fortunately, he realises this in time to kick them to the curb where they belong and next time have sex with your girlfriend instead. So I can only hope she's a woman of solid virtues and the whole sorry cycle doesn't continue.
One would hope so, certainly.
This is just off the top of my head, that brings me to Tom's top 5 rap lyric cell phones.
Oh, good.
1, women only have sex with them because the women want their money.
Yep.
2, their main source of income is a loose stable of street-walking prostitutes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
3, they can't so much as hit up Hungry Jacks without 20 of their mates for protection.
Yep.
4, the coolest thing to do after earning $1 million is hang out in a fucking strip club.
Yes.
Official home to society's cuckedest pissheads and most tinnier-smelling carpets. And 5, that you spent $950,000 bedazzling your kitchen appliances with real diamonds because Kanye West sang about buying a golden toaster and needed to be taken down a peg.
Yes.
So, I'm not sure why they brag about those things, but they've been bragging about them since hip-hop, hip to the hip-hop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, so, keep it going, I say. It's worth a laugh.
Yeah, definitely. And also wearing Gucci. They like to sing about that a lot as well in the rap songs.
Yes.
In the rappers.
Which is, frankly, currently being advertised by Jared Leto, so I'm not sure why you'd be bragging about wearing Gucci. But
which is why I respect the Wu-Tang Clan. I always have. They just went, fuck that. We're making our own clothing company and we're going to have a song where we just talk about woo-wear, just advertising. So power to that.
I'm going to write, as part of my hip-hop group, I've taken inspiration from... Chingy, I'm going to call myself Dago.
Yeah, good.
And my first song is about how women have sex with me because they don't want their money, don't want my money because I'm good at having sex with them. That's what I'm going to brag about. But call me crazy.
It's a crazy concept, but I think it might just work. So, what clothing will you be promoting in your songs? 26 red, cross colours.
A sensible range of casuals from Kmart.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea.
Affordable family bargains.
I'll be promoting Kim Kardashian's shapewear in my hip hop group, so watch out for that. So
it is good from a feminist perspective that she got a new generation of women to start wearing Victorian corsetry again.
Absolutely
I
right.
thought that was used as a joke, mostly in comedy period pieces, but apparently we're back to that again. So
that's good. Good to see. Forward thinking and promoting, I guess, all shapes and sizes as long as you've got
nice
some
to see some women fainting again. Doesn't happen enough. No, it didn't happen enough.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Up next, Justin Timberlake, "Rock Your Body." 1 week.
Yes. Speaking of bangers, that's
absolutely, this is a good song. Look, who would have thought that mid-tier, NSYNC member Justin Timberlake? Because I think that at the time, I don't really know whether he was one of the big guys of NSYNC. Lance Bass, everyone loved that. Joey Fatone, I think he was sort of mid-tier, but went solo back in 2003 and has proven to be the most successful of his former bandmates. Yeah. Although I did see Lance Bass as a guest star on a Tiffany Amber Thiessen cooking show once. Sure. So he's still working. He's still doing great work out there.
Also, Joey Fatone was a regular on the criminally underwatched the Jack and Triumph show, which is one of the best sitcoms that nobody's ever seen in America.
Good.
But yeah, I know what you mean. He really is like the American Robbie Williams. He really
Kind of.
was. They both sort of took off around this period. In fact, I think Robbie gets a point there because I reckon Justin Timberlake got a big boost up from being attached to Britney.
Oh, no
Because
doubt.
when they were together, he was definitely the Jason to her Kylie.
No doubt.
At that point, she was the bigger star, and I reckon he got massive tabloid exposure and some awesome quadruple denim outfits out of that era. And I
for
reckon
sure.
that booted him up the chain, you know.
Oh, no doubt. Look,
This is the point where people started to take him a bit more seriously as opposed to the kind of, you know, white rap Britney hanger-on boyfriend, you know, that he had been previously.
yes, correct.
I mean, just metaphorically in this video, he's shaved his frosted tips off.
He has, yep. He's
You
got
know,
rid of that,
much
yeah.
the way George Michael burnt his jacket from Wham. Then in the next video went, I really like that jacket, and just bought another jacket.
Wearing the same one again, yeah, exactly. When in the Faith video, he's got. Yeah, it's funny how George Michael was wearing that leather jacket in the real early Wham stuff, and then he went, "I'm changing my image," and then you fast forward like 5 years, and it's just like, fuck.
And
It's
then in
actually
that
a sick look.
The one with Aretha, where he's got a fucking it's a denim and leather jacket, but it's bedazzled.
Yeah, that's sick.
I mean,
a
that's
sick look.
truly, that was just a guy who was putting a hat on a hat on a hat there, but
For sure. Look, I completely agree. Look, so the debut single from Justin Timberlake, "Like I Love You," another great song. I like that one. That's pretty good, but this one's a lot better. That only hit the top 10.
yeah, this was a
this went
dance
all the
floor
way.
hit. Yeah, again, this went to the clubs. As
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
so,
This was a catchy number. It was written by the Neptunes, so that doesn't
yes,
surprise
this was
me.
when they were taking off too. Pharrell was on a fucking rocket at this
Pharrell,
point. and,
absolutely.
yeah,
Totally on a roll at this point. He's still going strong, but I think this was that period where people would be like, that's a catchy song, and then you'd look who wrote it and say, oh, it's a
Neptunes,
Neptune,
yeah.
so Pharrell's involved
Yeah.
again. So this was offered to Michael Jackson, who rejected it, and several other songs that ended up on Justin Timberlake's debut album.
Yes.
Neptunes, Pharrell wrote some songs, put them to MJ, went, don't want any part of that. So a couple of those ended up on the debut, and this one, yeah, boom, straight to
Yeah.
number one. Good times.
At this point in time, I think the only man more heavily influenced by Michael Jackson than Justin Timberlake was the late Corey Feldman. Yes, I know he's not actually dead, but there's a few weeks lag before these episodes come out, so it's probably better safe than sorry. But yeah, as you say, the Neptunes offered Michael Jackson several other songs along with this for his 10th album, Invincible, but he rejected them all. So what's your favourite track off Invincible, Ben?
Oh, look, it has to be, it's probably this or Like I Love You, as I mentioned, the first one. I like those ones. Cry Me a River, Take It or Leave It.
What's your favourite
sorry.
song off Invincible by Michael Jackson,
Oh,
the album that
Jesus.
this was not good enough for?
Fuck. I don't know if I've ever heard it.
Mine's probably track 14, The Lost Children, which features lyrics, when you lay me down sleeping and my heart is weeping, it's because I'm keeping a place for all the lost children.
Fucking hell.
So, yeah, unfortunately...
Was that used in court as like evidence against him? Did they sort of dive in there
I
and
think
go...
so.
Yeah.
That was Article 4,821 of today's evidence.
Holy shit beans, yeah.
So, what was the video for this?
So the video for this featured what at the time must have been $6 million in coloured lights, but you could now get for about $40.
Yes.
Same situation was it with that Kylie video last week,
Yes.
where it's like an LED
Can't
setup.
come up with anything.
No. So he's in like a cube. I think he's in like a cube, all LED lights. Looks pretty cool, actually. Very cool video.
I was going to say, just in case you thought I was joking in previous episodes about how fucking Hype Williams directed every other hip-hop video in the 90s.
Yep.
This is 2003 now. We're years out. We've got a white boy trying for some hip-hop credibility, and this video, which is directed by Francis Lawrence, looks exactly like a Hype Williams video.
Oh, okay.
It's got weird close-ups, fisheye lens, overhead cameras. The entire thing takes place inside a light-up cube, etc. that's rotating. That guy just left a legacy, like, for years
Yeah.
afterwards.
Cool.
Yes, like you say, it does have a touch of that Kylie thing of like, oh, what are we going to do? Fuck, all right, well, how much coloured lights can we afford with this amount of money?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see what we can do.
Yep.
Can we cover this entire interior surface of this cube with coloured lights?
We could go to Kmart now with probably $100 and get the quantity
Yes.
of lights that were used in this, I'd say, and rig it up and do the same. I think if you had a big LED set up today in a music video, people would just be like, "Nah, man, that's not cool. No one gives a shit.
We've got to do more.
No
than
one
that.
gives a shit at all." At least it is, environmentally conscious because they do use less electricity than LEDs. But
The
apart from
focus
that,
is on his dancing. Like
Yep.
around this time, him and like Jamiroquai and stuff, they were like, they were considered to be good dancers. In this style, well enough to focus a video on that sort of thing. So yeah,
one thing I did forget about this, Tom, is that it has a whack as fuck beatbox part halfway through the song.
yes, I'd forgotten that
That's
as well.
just-
it's longer than I remembered.
It
this
goes
song.
for a really
Yeah.
long time, yeah. So apparently that's only in the music video version. The single version and the album version has like a little bit of beatboxing, but in the music video bit, there's a real long part. It goes for about a minute of JT beatboxing. It's fucking terrible.
Like I said, because it features a lot of close-ups, you can sort of see him doing the mouth noises with his mouth, which is not a good look, even for really... There's a reason why good beatboxers cover their mouth up with their hands while they're doing it, because you look fucking ridiculous.
It does, yeah, it looks stupid. So that sucked. I don't know why the shit they wanted to keep that in there. It was absolutely terrible. So it does feature the lyric, "Gonna get you naked by the end of this song," which is optimistic.
That is a bold claim.
It is a very bold
I'm
claim.
bringing sexy back, perhaps.
Yep.
But promising voluntary dance floor nudity en masse might not be something even 50 Cent would claim that he could do. Unless JT is a stage hypnotist of some sort who could also get you acting like a chicken by the end of the song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that was part of his early career in the Mouseketeers or whatever the fuck.
For sure, doing some sort of low-level hypnotism type stuff to get people to do stuff.
You're getting very sleepy now. Take your clothes off by the end of this song.
Yep.
Now listen to me beatboxing and tell me it sounds rad. Doesn't it sound just like a machine?
Yeah, exactly. Timberlake performed this, as we alluded to earlier. He performed this at the Super Bowl, and after singing the "Get You Naked" by the end of this song part, clawed off Janet Jackson's top, revealing a single breast in what was probably the most controversial wardrobe malfunction to ever happen in America in the history of time.
Yes.
Not just wardrobe malfunction, it seemed like this was the most controversial thing that had ever happened in America.
Yeah, they do love it. I mean, America couldn't believe it had been forced to witness 0.5 seconds of a distant woman's half-covered boob.
Yeah.
The following 3 hours of military fetish porn, glorified traumatic brain injury and opioid commercials were almost ruined for many people, so they complained in their millions, and the term wardrobe malfunction was added to the fuckwit lexicon of, what was becoming the new millennium's unfortunate penchant for fucking taking stupid shit off social media and turning it into commonly used phrases. Yes, fortunately, I'm sure we'll get sick of that. Probably after I'm dead.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully.
And I'm sure if you look in the Oxford English Dictionary now, there's an entry for fucking wardrobe malfunction. Yes.
It's just this. Is it just
some bullshit?
Yeah.
Because Oxford wanted to get their name into the fucking media that year.
Yeah. Exactly.
What
so
new terms been added to the dictionary?
Yeah. It's hard to believe that. I mean, I understand that the Super Bowl is very big and a lot of people are watching, but it is hard to believe that people just didn't go, "Oh, that was an accident.
Exactly.
That's not probably what they intended," and
Yes.
then move on.
Why was that worse than 200 women making out behind fake Russian underage lesbians?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Because I guess were people sort of implying that it was an intentional thing just to try and draw attention?
It was definitely intentional, but even then, what was it really? It was like a half-covered boob glimpsed at a distance of... I'm not joking about half a second. People timed it. I think it's 9/16 of a second that was visible for on television. And when I say visible, I mean visible if you really rewound it over and over and over again, so you could get fully angry about it before you complain.
To see, you'd have to spend time pausing it.
Yes, exactly. It taps into that exact American prurience thing you were talking about before, where you're simultaneously appalled by people's sexuality and obsessed with it in equal measure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
Look, JT has 23 million listeners on Spotify. Doesn't surprise me. 71 cents for this on the Discogs. What are the lyrical highlights that Pharrell probably penned?
Yeah, as you said,
for MJ,
written by Pharrell for MJ, well into his post-pedophile period.
Yes,
so I guess Pharrell wasn't too fussed about that.
Well, I'm glad that MJ rejected it, because if Michael had have sung this song, this would have been on our ban list because it's post-ped.
Yes.
So.
I remember thinking of this song at the time, Jesus Christ, this guy is super influenced by Michael Jackson.
Yep.
Which makes a lot more sense now
Now that you know that he sort of wrote it for him.
But I mean, right now, he would fit in fine with people like Bruno Mars and The Weeknd, who sound, even at this stage, still just as influenced as he was.
Yep.
At least Justin Timberlake had the excuse that Michael Jackson was still alive and occasionally on the radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, lyrically, he does a back and forth with Vasquez in the chorus. There's sort of boy-girl thing. Her, talk to me, boy. Him, no disrespect, I don't mean no harm. Talk to me, boy. Can't wait to have you in my arms. Talk to me, boy. Hurry up because you're taking too long. Talk to me, boy. Bet I'll have you naked by the end of this song.
And she's like, ooh,
yeah.
really? And then he
Now,
starts beatboxing. She's like, that's fucking unlikely now.
Yes.
I'm out of here.
He's
You're going to
promising-
beatbox for 5 minutes, I'm gone.
Also, he's promising to rip someone's clothes off in public respectful,
Well, it's
as
not.
promised in the first line of that. And also, what is she taking too long to do you think? Get him a Midori illusion from the bar?
Yeah.
And what does she want him to talk to her on the dance floor about? Most of the times I've seen people talking on the dance floor, it goes like this. What? I said, why is everything so sticky? What? I think that guy with bum fluff spilled his illusion. What? So, yeah, it didn't really go, it wasn't quite so elegant, and nobody got naked by the end of the song. They got naked when they went home and realised their entire outfit was covered in Midori illusion.
Yeah, exactly.
And smelt like 400 packets of cigarettes had been inhaled directly through the fabric. Yeah, anyway,
Exactly.
That's enough about JT. What's next?
Oh, Tom, moving up next
A change
is
of gear.
a very dramatic gear change. Evanescence, Evanescence featuring Paul McCoy. Bring Me to Life.
If only if it had been Evanescence featuring the real McCoy.
The real McCoy, that would be
Might have been
good.
fucking onto something.
Another night, another dream. Rock and roll is alive and well, Tom.
Yes.
Look,
I mean, say what you like, this does at least, unlike every other song so far this year, have like a guitar.
It's got a guitar
and a drum
in it, yeah,
kit in it.
exactly.
Although it is, per whatever the fuck is happening in 2003, it is still far too piano ballady for my
there's a
liking.
piano. This is a piano ballad,
It's-
basically,
yeah.
with some rock
I
guitars
mean,
in there.
fucking hell. From Nirvana to this in 10 short years.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose, to strike a positive note, on a tiny, tiny piano with Kmart skull stickers on it, you could say that this is the beginning of emo, which was a genre at least largely disconnected from grunge. So at last we are sort of officially out of range of the grunge rip-off era. The post and then post-post and then post-post grunge stuff. So this is a guitar metal-ish influenced rock song, sort of, but it has nothing to do with grunge. There's not a touch of grunge in this at all. It's something else. It doesn't look like grunge, doesn't sound like grunge. It's a whole different thing. So at least that's something, you know.
This is like second wave, like new metal, probably. Like this is basically like a poor man's version.
But
of
it
sort
does have a bit of goth in it as well. It's got a tiny bit of sort of that sort of Avril Lavigne Kmart punk in it. Not punk, but I mean like the look, you know, the kind of, you know, the piercings and eyeshadow and stuff, you know, goth punk thing.
You're right.
Which is kind of what emo was. It was like shopping mall goth punk.
Well, that's
sort of
what this
stuff.
is, yeah. I think when in America people use the term mall goth a lot more than
Oh,
they do
yeah,
here,
well,
and
there
I
you
assume
go,
this is
yeah.
sort of what you're getting at. Yeah, exactly. Look, Evanescence sounds a bit too much like Schweppervescence for me, so it's hard to say, I find.
It does. Look,
yeah.
this was Schweppervescence's debut single and breakout song, helped by its inclusion on which soundtrack?
Oh.
This is our only movie song of the year, so I might as well get this one in. I'll give you a hint. It's an amazing movie that was well ahead of the Marvel's later dominance of the superhero movie genre.
The Punisher?
No, it was Daredevil.
Daredevil.
So you knew it was going to be good because it was in Daredevil. This went to number one in Italy, Australia, and the UK.
Fantastic.
Somehow, and reached the top 5 in Germany, Canada, and the US in spring of 2003.
Yep.
Let me ask you this on a slightly different note. What was your favourite emo joke, Ben? there were a lot of them going around at this time.
I don't know if I can recall any. I'd probably wipe them from my memory. What, have you got one?
Did you hear about the emo lawn?
Oh, it cut itself?
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
Yes,
They're
I
very
think
good.
the jokes heavily featuring
Cutting
suicidal ideation and self-mutilation and so forth would probably not play as well now as they did back at the time.
No, probably not.
The idea of suicidal teenagers was a lot funnier in 2003.
Apparently.
Possibly as a reaction to everyone having to go through the grunge era and people were just happy to make jokes about it.
Yeah, look, did this song bring you to life, Tom? Did it?
I'd say it brought me to life about as much as watching Daredevil at the cinemas and paying full price for a ticket.
Yeah. What? The song title's "Bring Me to Life." Is it meant to be "Bring Me Back to Life" or what's?
I know.
"Bring Me
it's
to
a bit
Life" makes
weird,
no
isn't it?
sense.
Is that what she meant?
I mean, who the fuck knows what she means? I mean, when it's like "Bring Me to Life," I'm sort of, I've got no idea whether they're missing a word from the
that's
title.
Right. I mean, it's sort of it kind of suggests a sort of what existed before the Big Bang type thing, where how are you writing a song asking someone to bring you to life if you're not existing beforehand?
Yeah.
What state are you in? It's an interesting existential question.
It is a very, very much so, and I think that's what it was written about. It sort of is to sort of raise those issues of how can someone who's not alive yet ask to be brought to life. Correct, and most people anyone that has children also know that they can't speak at birth. It takes some time for that to happen.
This is kind of getting into early Metallica reading too much H.P. Lovecraft territory,
which
is a far more interesting area than anything in this actual song.
Yeah, for sure. Look, the D is pretty boring. Does feature the classic "Wake me up inside." Wake me up. Wake me up inside. Can't wake up. So that's sort of the chorus that's in there.
Oh, this is the bit. This is what you mean about new metal. Yeah, that bit does sort of suggest.
And he does like some sort of
shitty,
weak sort of rapping bit, I think, later on as well. So it's real watered down new metal.
How did they end up with that guy?
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's just him just saying, "Can't wake up."
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really fit with the vibe of the band. Like the Morgoth thing doesn't really suggest that either.
Well, the dude that does the "Can't wake up," he's not even in the band. So he was brought in on the track. The recording label thought that the song needed a dude doing backing vocals because they were just like, we can't just have a song with a woman singing, so we need to get...
Okay.
So they got this guy, and I'm not sure why they couldn't have just got the bass player or someone else in the band to just go, "Can't wake up," and just use that, because the dude that's doing it is just basically saying...
Yes.
Wake up, which is sort of a bit shit as it is. So, look, he's just saying that in that American new metal talk sing voice.
Yeah.
So this is the guest vocals from Paul McCoy of the band 12 Stones, who no one's ever heard of. And imagine that was your claim to fame. Yeah, bro, I did the "Can't Wake Up" on the Effervescent song "Bring Me Back to Life," and people just go, "Oh, cool, man, awesome, cool. Is it meant to be "Bring Me Back to Life"? It's like, fuck, I don't know. I was in the studio for 15 minutes and just kept saying, "Can't wake up, won't wake up." So he was originally uncredited in America, which is not a bad move. He was probably like, I don't want my name anywhere fucking near this thing in case it bombs. But then it blew up, became quite successful, and he demanded a credit so that he could use it to promote his dog shit other band by going, if you love the guy that goes, "Can't wake up," then come and check out 12 Stone, because it's just me going, "Won't wake up, can't wake up" all the time. So, which is pretty shit. So yeah.
Yes.
But in the video, he does also stop the actual singer of the band from falling off like the top of a building. So
yes.
So he catches her. So he saved her life.
Sure.
Some may say he brought her to life.
Well, yes. I guess that still doesn't even
makes
work.
No sense. No, exactly.
Yeah.
What if I fell off a building, you caught me, and then you bring me to life? It's like, what are you talking about? Can't wake up. I can do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm in for, yeah.
What a weird thing. There are a lot of weird echoes of this and the last song for this year, which we'll get to later on, in the way this worked out. But I get the feeling, I'm not sure if... See, I should have looked that up, but I don't know. I think maybe this was their first record, their second record. I should fucking look that up. After Wind Up Records insisted the group bring on a full-time rapper, and the band refused, as you said, they went home assuming they no longer had a record deal. However, the label contacted them again and a compromise was met. one song would feature a guest rapper, and that was Bring Me to Life, as you said.
Yep.
Why the fuck anyone would associate this style of music with rap is a question best answered by another question, perhaps, that being, who the fuck are Wind Up Records?
It's a very good question.
It's the only context I've ever heard them in. But I think probably the answer, not to that question, but to the previous question, was because, like you said, nu metal was big around this time, which I had kind of forgotten about because it doesn't really appear in the charts.
No.
It was mainstream, but not as mainstream as Evanescence. Like you said, this is kind of about as close as it gets to the number one territory.
As the bands progressed through that era, any sort of nu metal's tie to actual metal is very tenuous to begin with, but once you sort of, I think the bands, you've got sort of bands that are like Crazy Town has a hit with Butterfly doing their rapping bit, and then there's Limp Bizkit who have got smash breaking.
I don't even know if they got to.
No, they didn't. But I think they were getting more popular. So I guess that the record labels are like, oh, you got guitars in that. Let's get a rapper on board, and then you can just play that slightly.
It was a number one, so maybe they were onto something.
They probably were. Yeah, look, it's pretty shit though. Heavy use of piano on this.
It doesn't work at all, really. The call and response thing is dubious at best.
Yeah, look, I mean, the piano is a terrible instrument. Let's face it. The keyboard, the synthesizer, they're great, but the piano as an instrument is a bit of a waste of time. It's too one-dimensional.
I don't mind the piano in rock music, but I think it really has to fit, and the piano ballad is boring as fuck.
Yeah.
The piano ballad makes me long for the power ballad, which at least had a fucking crescendo to it, or something like that. Or just a straight-up old-fashioned ballad where you really let the singer go fucking bonkers, but then the person has to be able to sing really well and not be some dog-shit rapper that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, look,
Even if you do save the lead singer from a building, okay, dude, that's not good enough to justify this shit.
Look, I did listen to this on YouTube, so maybe the sound quality wasn't the best, but the guitar sounded like arse on this. I thought they sounded real bad. That sort of fake, super processed, not very good. And there's like
really
two notes.
Grounded her voice and and
there's like two notes in the whole thing. Yeah, it's terrible. So look, the members did meet at a Christian camp. So that sort of tells us everything we need to know about this.
Yeah, now I totally understand how that would make you want to rebel and start a rock band.
Yep.
But if the rock band ends up being Evanescence, it suggests to me that maybe you weren't molested hard enough.
Oh, look.
On behalf of the AFL, I'd like to formally apologise for that last joke, Ben. I believe cancelable comments follow the 5-second rule of dropping toast on the floor. That's right, isn't it? That's correct.
You just apologise immediately. People are like, that's okay. So,
I mean, look, like you say, this is the beginning of a very bad time for pop fans who like music with instruments in it, especially Brits. In the UK, this was the last guitar-driven chart topper to stay at number one for 4 weeks until 2021, when Olivia Rodrigo's third single, Good, the number 4, You, accomplished the same thing 18 years later. I remember seeing a pop charts annual, number one hit chart from the UK from, the sort of a few years after this. And I remember seeing that there were, out of the top 100 songs of the year, there were 2 songs on it that could be classified as guitar rock.
Yep.
Not even metal, but rock. One of them was fucking Drops of Jupiter by Train.
Good.
And one of them was Journey being covered by the cast of Glee in the TV show Glee. And everything else on there was either hip-hop, crappy dance music, or cheesy electro, or piano ballads, or bad, various other things. So if you like guitar stuff, it's
You're in
like
for a bad ride.
It was like the world was compensating for having listened to a decade of male guitar-oriented rock, grunge type alternative shit, and then was just going, nah, we want this other stuff instead. It's time everyone else had to go. So
of course, and what
I'm not saying that's necessarily bad. It's just this is about as rocky as it was going to get in the charts. For quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. This is the time where if you want guitar music, you're going to have to do a little bit of your own work. You're not just going to turn on the
go outside with fucking arias. At least.
Go outside, just go check out. It's easier these days because you can just pop onto your Spotify and put in the genre or whatever, and I'm sure they'll fill you in with whatever songs you need. But yeah, so it's all good in terms of the ability to find rock songs thanks to the algorithm, but you're not going to find them on the ARIA charts for much longer. So this is their only number one song, fortunately, so I don't have to talk about these guys ever again. But they had a few more top 10 hits. The follow-up to this song, My Immortal, is pretty much just a straight boring piano ballad, and then there's like guitars for like the last minute, so it sort of comes in. But the rest
at
of
that
that's
point, you're wishing, where was that fucking rap guy?
exactly.
Yeah,
where's
like,
the Can't Wake Up?
I mean, if you'd never heard new metal or anything, you might have heard this on the charts in the mainstream sense and gone, this is kind of an interesting sound. Like, they've kind of got this goth thing, they've got this weird rapper guy, I wonder what he's doing in the band. That seems like a weird coincidence. But then the subsequent singles by them, you would just go, oh, each one of these is less interesting than the last, and all of their songs sound exactly like this same fucking song. Which, again, is another theme of this entire year, which we'll be coming back to repeatedly later on. So, yes, let's move on so we've got time to see that. What are they doing on Spotify these days?
8 million. So that's a lot.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And they make 62 cents. You can buy that
That's
for, which is
surprising.
okay. I should point out that Amy Lee, the vocalist, she's the only original member left, so everyone else realised how whack this was and just went away.
Paul
so,
McCoy didn't hang around.
No, he didn't hang around, so I don't know what's going on with 12 Stone these
He's
days.
touring with the real McCoy.
Yeah,
I'd like to think
I
that he is.
hope so. Lyrics?
How can you see into my eyes like open doors, leading you down into my core where I've become so numb? Without a soul, my spirit's sleeping somewhere cold, until you find it there and lead it back home. Now, Lee claims this was about a relationship, but I think we can both agree that this is clearly a stealth Christian song designed to reach out to kids who might have been led astray by the Satan-peddling sex cult antics of your Pink or your Avril Lavigne, and bring them back into the safe, godly hands of a band like Evanescence.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, they were doing the Lord's work in the dullest way possible.
They were, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to imagine a song more boring. I think the only interesting bit is the Wake Me Up part, and that's because it's so fucking
The
stupid.
only interesting thing I ever found out about Evanescence was that the lead singer proudly said that she made all her own clothes that were featured in all of the videos. And she did have a look, and that look could be described as bought a bunch of ballet costumes and fed them through a shredder. So, yeah. Oh, and also, just in case you'd ever wondered, in a not at all ironic way, Evanescence, the definition is noun, the quality of being fleeting or vanishing quickly. Impermanence. So, yes.
If only that was true of the band, Tom, if only. So when she says she makes her own clothes, was it sort of a bit of a ready-made art thing where people just glued a bicycle to, sort of that?
I think that was the part of her whole, I'm an independent spirit, that
But if she's just taken other clothes and then just, making your own clothes doesn't involve buying a pair of jeans and then sewing a fucking patch onto it. That's not making your own clothes.
No, that's true.
So, I think that if she's just bought pre-existing dresses and then just shredded them... Then
I was saying that's what it looks
like,
but,
yeah.
who knows? Maybe
Who
she
knows?
was inspired.
Cool, all right, moving on. Next is Delta again. Fuck me, she's just everywhere this year. Innocent Eyes, the title track from the album Innocent Eyes. This also sucks. What have you got for me, Tom? I've got nothing.
As you said, this is the title track from the million-selling debut album Innocent Eyes. It was produced by our old mate Glenn Wheatley, the man who sold his house to bankroll John Farnham's Whispering Jack album, and
he
who
died
on Wednesday.
Did he?
Yes,
R.I.P.
aged 74. Glenn played bass in the Masters Apprentices, who were a huge Melbourne pub rock band a long time ago, but was inspired to get into music management after the band played a packed 7,000-seat venue and were paid $200 when the tickets were $5 each. So, of course, in memoirs, this sort of incident is framed as a moment of outrage at the treatment of the humble musician. But the flip side of the coin is that only a certain sort of person looks at legal scams like that and thinks, maybe I should move into this area. Yes. In an unrelated matter, Glenn later spent 10 months in jail for tax fraud.
Yep.
Although at least that's 10 months longer than anybody named in the Panama Papers ever served. So,
Shakira, they're coming for you.
He did the time, at least, for doing the crime. Lyrically, this was co-written by Delta and frequent collab Vince Pazinga, who also wrote for Big Bang Theory. Chang. Couldn't resist, sorry. I really got to get a drumstick instead of just going chang, because I think a lot of people don't know what that means.
We can edit
I'll have to get JT to beatbox a drumstick drum roll. Do you remember when you were 7 and the only thing you wanted to do was show your mum that you could play piano? 10 years have passed and the only thing that lasts is that same old song that we played along and made my mama cry. Now, this is an 18-year-old singing about how she wishes she was 7 again. Go do a bucket bong and give a dude a wristy to look out, for fuck's sake, I would say. Good Lord. Fucking Evanescence wouldn't run this bullshit delta. I can handle an 18-year-old telling me I should go out, get smashed, and fuck an 18-year-old. In a pinch, I can handle one whining about how parents don't understand. But I am not down with this world-weary, where have all the good days gone shit from someone who can still see grade 9 in the rearview mirror. Fucking hell. This is a debut album, for Christ's sake. Yeah. And this is another piano ballad, as if we didn't need to.
The whole album's piano ballads. It sucks shit. All of it sucks. But yeah, there's nothing worse than those sort of where have all the good days gone when you're like 17? Going
world weariness, Christ Almighty.
Well, yeah, exactly. World weariness is pretty bad, and also
it's bad enough from people who are actually world weary. Like it's tedious enough, you know.
Oh, it is.
Middle-aged white guys like me who've never done anything, but from fucking 18-year-olds who've been signed to a label since they were 12 and haven't left the pages of New Idea magazine. I mean, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's pretty obnoxious, as is the 16-year-old, oh, you broke my heart and I'll never love again type thing.
That's true, but at least that is actually how you sometimes feel at 16. Like hating your parents. I mean, hating your parents is laughable, but I do remember that feeling. But this, I wish I was 7 again. I mean, get fucked.
Bullshit.
Go and fucking get felt up at a bus stop, for Christ's sake. Drink some goon. Have fun.
Go and drink some goon.
Get drunk in a cemetery at daytime. You're not at your job.
Yeah, go get drunk in a cemetery and then go
call in sick to Coles the next day.
Yeah, exactly right. Call in sick. Try and find someone, playing a punk show under a bridge or something like that, or in an abandoned warehouse, something like that. That shit must
do
happen.
Something incredibly dangerous and scare the shit out of your parents.
Yeah,
that's what life's for.
Exactly. Get one of those new scooters that they've got around and just drive it straight into the Yarra. Do whatever you want.
So. I literally died today on one of those scooters.
I know. Wowzers, yeah.
I did that thing. Sometimes that thing happens on the news where the start of a story happens and you start laughing before the end of the story. Like, and then they're like, and he died when he was hit by... Like, oh, okay. It's like a scooter accident occurred because we've only had those Lime scooters for about 2 weeks. Yeah.
Someone's already died, yeah.
God almighty. Sorry guy who died. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the idea of scooters.
Cool, thanks. 2 cents for that, yeah. So that's probably about what it deserves, I think. So moving on, up next, where do we even start with this one? R. Kelly, Ignition, the remix. Now,
6 weeks.
6 weeks for this fucking on. Now, R. Kelly's the Jeffrey Epstein of R&B, which I guess is not really what you want your sort of...
Not really.
what you want to be known for. Look, I will start off by saying that I couldn't find the music video for this song on YouTube.
No, it's not there.
So I assume that R. Kelly, after his conviction, his record label...
The song is on YouTube, but the official music video
just some random dudes have uploaded the song, I think. But yeah, his record label, this is what I assume, that after R. Kelly's conviction, it was removed along with all of his other music. I couldn't find any official video clips on there. Now, R. Kelly is a pretty big deal in the sense that, he sold a lot of albums, huge deal.
Stadium tours.
I mean, such a big deal. That's probably why he was able to get out of the child sex offences decades ago to begin with. So while he was able to still be on the streets.
I believe he used the Shaggy defence.
If it wasn't me, yeah.
But we've got videotape of you literally fucking an underage kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't me. And then I believe also... I assume the person involved in the video was paid off. The girl said, wasn't me either.
No, paid off is how this is all worked.
So it's pretty weird when it was just like, that girl's definitely 13, and then she went, it's actually not me. It is you.
Much like Michael Jackson before him, the court cases surrounding R. Kelly reveal a disturbing number of parents who are willing to sign off on shit involving their underage children when it involves a lot of money and someone they've seen on the TV. So.
Yeah. He was also dating. Remember that
Aaliyah.
yeah, exactly.
She was also
And
underage.
She was about
he married
16.
her underage with the permission of her parents. Again,
Yep.
that's another one. But
So it is completely
Yes.
bizarre how people were sort of given this, pass to sort of do things that are highly dubious, and then 20 years later it's just like, I can't believe this happened. It's like, well, the
Yeah.
warning signs were there out in the open for a long
fucking
time.
hell, yeah.
So look, anyway, the point is that
Sorry.
a lot of sketchy behaviour, but the record label made the bold decision, I assume they did, to say, let's take this off. We don't want that on there. We don't want people streaming this and making money off that. So, power to them, given that, they could have made a lot of money. His back catalogue has, it's something that I guess record labels think we'll be able to, monetize this and make money off it forever.
Yeah.
So, look, I think, credit where credit's due to them for not doing that. Must be the first time in history that a record label has put any sort of common decency
It's pretty rare, isn't
ahead
it?
of
I mean,
money.
they didn't do it after the video came out.
No,
but
no.
Yeah, it's good to see them 20 years late
Exactly.
getting on board.
So, for example, you can still watch Lost Profits videos on YouTube. So
Were they his side project? Who are Lost Profits?
that's another. Lost Profits are a kind of hard rock, new metalish type band
Okay.
that a few years ago their lead singer was convicted of something terrible
Oh, okay.
in the same league as R. Kelly,
Yeah.
but probably worse. But the point is that their music videos, their record label has said, we're going to keep them on there, despite the
okay.
fact that the
Correct.
lead singer of that band was convicted of some pretty horrendous crimes that I won't discuss in the podcast.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. So the point that I'm trying to make is that some record labels are like,
Oh, yeah.
this dude's been convicted of some terrible shit. Don't
Yes.
worry about
For
it. We can
people
still make
who
some money off that.
Complain about cancelling or whatever. It is worth noting that whatever you define that to be, I would call this more corporate legacy management than actual
Well, that's
moral
yeah.
cancellation.
No, it's not cancelling.
YouTube aren't doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because they're worried it'll make them look more bad than good to the people who pay advertising on them.
Of
but
course.
This is the idea that you might you might stop profiting from a pedophile's outfit once he's been conclusively proved to be a pedophile is a very new idea.
Yeah.
Like nobody, after the guy from The Who was busted with a bunch of kiddie porn on his hard drive, nobody was calling for The Who's music to be removed from record stores.
No.
That wasn't even an idea. It was like, oh, well, I'm not going to talk to that guy at dinner parties anymore, but I'm not going to stop listening to fucking Won't Get Fooled again.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Correct.
Because apart from anything else, you'd have to get rid of half of the stuff on Spotify if you start
You'd have to get rid of all this stuff, yeah. So
drug
look,
users and sexual deviance
Yeah.
off the charts.
you're correct.
Yeah, but,
It's difficult to say whether the record label did this for the purposes of doing something that they think is morally correct, or you're right, whether it's just
Yes.
management of the image of the label.
But
by
even someone like Bill Cosby, someone who's truly irredeemably terrible,
Yep.
the idea of then not proceeding to profit from his stuff is a new idea. And I reckon that's pretty hard to argue that it's bad to do that. Like, you know, I mean, and like you say, even if you do want to listen to this fucking music, it's not that you can't listen to it.
Of
It's
course,
just that
yeah.
They're
It's
going,
just that-
okay, we're not going to personally profit
We're
from
not
it.
going to put it on any streaming services,
Yes,
or
I mean-
it's probably still on Spotify.
Well, for instance, I tracked the video for this down on Vimeo.
yeah, they've got
but-
looser morals on.
Yeah, nobody's profiting from that. Or I hope they're not, because it looks like washing it through the bottom of a fish tank that hasn't
Yeah.
been cleaned for 20 years. But the video features no giveaways. It's just a stock standard 2003 video. Half colour graded blue, half overexposed white. All the men are wearing 12 layers of truly hideous sportswear.
Yep.
All the women in miniskirts, and definitely not 14 years old. The only truly objectionable thing in the video is R. Kelly's haircut, which is that sort of horrific skull braid thing that looks like somebody gave you cornrows using a power drill and then glued the resulting wire-type coils onto the outline of your brain using Gorilla Grip or something. But yeah, that was really... It's not even creepy or interesting in a way. It's just a dull 2003 video. So I
Yeah,
guess
not
he
great.
knew enough to keep the perversion out of the videos. So
Yeah,
credit
absolutely.
for that.
Look, I think the end result of the R. Kelly situation is that he was ultimately convicted and is in prison now. It just once and for all confirms that Michael Jackson died at the right time, didn't he?
Oh, 100%.
Because I feel like
For
that,
him, yes.
him and his whoever owns the rights to his music that continue, because he's never formally been convicted of anything, so people can just go, oh, it's a grey area, it's okay, we can keep on listening to Billie Jean. But look, as we know, we've put that into the very much the pre-ped and post-ped territory. So we know what songs you can listen to and what songs you can't listen to.
Sure.
So we've defined that definitely. But look, R. Kelly apparently never learned to read.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, from what I understand. He may have later in life, but early on in his career, he had to get other people to read the contracts. He just signed them because he couldn't read. Or couldn't read to a good enough level to understand the words. So if you ever meet someone that is illiterate, there's a good chance they're a sexual predator. So do not try and help them out. Don't try and teach them to read as an adult. Just, cut them out of your lives, I think. Illiterate people are probably the worst offenders out there, I would suggest.
At the very least, it means that there's a 100% guarantee they have not read the laws of consent in their local area.
Certainly not. No, I agree. Look, if you have and I don't, but you might, Tom, I don't know, and other people out there in the podcast might. If you've got I Believe I Can Fly full back piece, do you try and get that covered up, do you think? If you've got any sort of R. Kelly, the sort of the wings coming down your arms, just with I Believe I Can Fly tattooed fully on the back.
I suppose you could try and get someone to modify it or
I think so. Yeah, you'd get a tattoo artist to modify it into something without an R. Kelly reference, I guess, or you could just deny that it has, anything to do with. It's just like I believe we can all fly. It's nothing to do with R. Kelly.
Yes, you could claim to be a big fan of the 1980s bewilderingly successful movie The Boy Who Could Fly.
Just exactly right. You could just go, love The Boy Who Could Fly. Love when Fred Savage filled up his water pistol with piss. I love that sequence.
That was from an era when we understood Asperger's syndrome so well that we thought it gave people magical powers.
Exactly, we certainly did, yeah. So, but I guess the other thing you could do is if you do have that I Believe I Could Fly back pieces, you can just do the denial thing of R. Kelly's done nothing wrong, he's just been misunderstood. So, Michael Jackson fans have been doing that for a long time. Sure. But you can also do yes, he's a sexual predator, but, I do believe that I can fly, and, they're both sick jams, so I just love.
Unfortunately, they are pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that big into this style of hip hop, but he was pretty talented.
Yeah, look, I believe that there would have been a lot of weddings where Ignition and I Believe I Could Fly were played. So if you're watching your old wedding footage and your first dance is to one of those songs, don't delete the footage. Just overdub it with I Want to Sex You Up, I think. Colour Me Bad. Just sort of do that.
Much better.
Just re-edit it. Keep the footage of you dancing at your wedding, everyone having a good time, but just put a new soundtrack over the top, because I think it's probably not the best backing track to have. So people are probably still putting it on their wedding list to these days, wedding playlists to these days.
Yes. I mean, I will extend your entire thing to, in fact, include anyone over the age of 9 who likes Space Jam. They're officially supporting pedophilia, and they need to cut it out because those movies are whack as fuck.
Yep.
Sorry, millennials, we had to deal with this stuff as well. Lots of stuff you liked when you were 15 is permanently going to look like crap to everyone who wasn't 15 when you were, and you just have to deal with it. It's part of getting older. That is until you hit 45, and then you can greenlight the 8-season HBO reboot and inflict it on everyone younger than you all over again.
Yeah, that's correct.
Also, Pokemon suck shit and SpongeBob rips off Ren and Stimpy. Peace!
Yeah, it's fair enough. You're right. But when, you're probably not as discerning at a certain age, so you will like certain things, and then when you look back at it through a nostalgic lens, you will continue to enjoy it despite the fact that it's probably has no redeeming features or is of any quality. But that's fine. That's okay.
Good luck showing the young ones or Heathers to anyone under 35 and see what happens then.
Yeah, exactly. Look, who can forget the hip-hopera Trapped in the Closet?
Not fucking me. That's for sure.
I think it was R. Kelly himself who declared it a hip-hopera. It was more akin to Days of Our Lives or some other trash daytime TV. But there's 33 parts to that thing, and it just keeps on going and going and going.
It sure does. I mean, like Michael Jackson and Jimmy Savile, one can't deny that R. Kelly left a trail of breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Maybe putting out a 33-chapter opera about repressed sexual perversion might have been one of those breadcrumbs.
Yes.
When asked about the writing of the hip opera, Kelly said, "I don't know how to explain how I wrote it. It just keeps rhyming and rhyming." He stated that Trapped in the Closet had taken on, quote, a life, mind and body of its own. Interesting. It's almost as though something he'd desperately kept hidden and was trying to force its way out of the closet. Maybe the same closet that Michael Jackson was singing about in his song, Keep It in the Closet.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I mean, and also, do you think calling this album Chocolate Factory was another breadcrumb, perhaps? I mean, perhaps he just liked listening to some smooth jams while he sipped a drink and imagined his own arse pinching out turds.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I preferred his next album, Glass Coffee Table, with its cover of I'm the Scat Man on it. But, I mean, Chocolate Factory was good.
Fantastic. What about the lyrics to this track? They're all highlights, I assume.
The first lines to this song, it's the remix to Ignition, Hot and Fresh Out the Kitchen, were written, R. Kelly claims, 5 years before the song Ignition. Perhaps because it passes well and he liked the rhyme of ignition and out the kitchen.
Yeah, good.
I mean, it just goes to show that there's a fine line between talent, eccentricity and kiddie fiddling.
There is a very fine line, yeah.
Now, it's like Murder, She Wrote, once I get you out of them clothes. Privacy is on the door, but still they can hear you screaming. More. Sorry, I think the lawyers added that last word. It's written in biro at the bottom of the lyrics. I say written down, but let's face it, he never wrote anything down, did he?
I don't think so, no,
yeah,
definitely.
probably couldn't read the sign privacy or the age on her driver's license either.
One would suggest not, clearly. So, look, the people that I feel sorry for, Tom, is it's much like the Beanie Babies scenario of the 90s where people were cashing in, you know, their kids' college funds and their life savings to purchase soft toys filled with beans because they believed that one day those $5 Beanie Babies that they'd purchased would be worth millions of dollars and they'd be able to retire.
NFTs of their time.
They were the NFTs of their time.
Except they made more sense because you were buying an object.
You were buying a physical object that you thought would increase in value and you would make some serious coin. But what about the people that had purchased, you know, all of R. Kelly memorabilia? They've got the signed photos, they've got that stuff. They've got it back now at this time, thinking that in 10, 20, 30 years' time, that's going to appreciate in value. I'm going to be able to sell all my R. Kelly merch in, 2040, and I'm going to be living the dream. It's going to be fantastic. That stuff must have taken a bit of a nosedive, I think, in its value. And those people are who I feel sorry for, the R. Kelly investors. So,
I mean, they'll always have a market online among people who think that, any form of cancellation is bad and people looking for rare, hard to find R. Kelly remixes and stuff.
Totally.
I mean, there's a big market for Nazi memorabilia. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, look, and I wouldn't, and I don't think I'd rule out an R. Kelly NFT series if he can get one up and running from prison. I think that would be pretty good. So
that's right.
Definitely make some money off that. So 4 million on Spotify, still on Spotify. His record label haven't gone the extra step of removing the songs off Spotify.
Fucking hell, that's quite a lot.
Maybe some of them have been. I don't know whether he's released stuff over various labels over the years and some's been removed, some still on there.
I'd be interested to know how many listeners he had, say, 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah,
before
exactly.
some documentaries came out.
Probably significantly more, I'd say. And 19 cents you can pick this up for on Discogs. So keep an eye on that because I think that price is going to come further down. So... Interestingly, yes. Anything else for R. Kelly or we're good?
No. Let's
move on. All right, up next, less sexual offence, but offensive to my ears. The Black Eyed Peas featuring Justin Timberlake. Where is the love? For 6 weeks.
Oh, God. Okay, so this is our first encounter with the Black Eyed Peas, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the first in a series of very successful but totally fucking garbage singles released by the Black Eyed Peas. This one's off the album Elefunk, which is when Fergie joined the band and they abandoned, I guess, their underground hip-hop sound that they were known for and just went full trash.
Yes, and coincidentally, this was also where their career exploded and, when they fully took off.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this isn't great, this song. It's not very good, I think. It's pretty bad. But there are far, far worse in their catalogue. And unfortunately... I've looked ahead and we have to talk about almost all of them because the Black Eyed Peas have a fucking shitload of number one songs, each one worse than the last, I believe.
This was not a good part of the awards, I have to say.
Yeah,
as you mentioned, the chorus is JT. He was uncredited at the time. that does give the song a little bit of a boost because, he's not a bad singer. Other than that, the most interesting thing I could discover about this song is that it features a sample of another song on the same album.
Oh, good.
The Apple song. It's the same guitar intro. I mean, I guess you save money on clearance fees.
Yeah, definitely.
You're sampling yourself from the same album. Some might say that's lazy as fuck, but hey, I don't know. Maybe it's just good, efficient songwriting.
Efficient songwriting, and it makes economic sense. I think if you just get one sample and use it in every single song on your album, that's
certainly a precursor
create
to
some
their
repetition.
very minimalist songwriting approach they would later become to be known for.
Yeah, look, exactly. I guess on the one hand, it's hard to be mad at Will.i.am, who he used to go by the name Will1X, I believe.
Think of a few reasons.
So look, it's hard to be mad at him and the other two members of the group. Fuck knows who they are, and Fergie, no one knows. What
one of them is
name
Apple. It's the Apple song. Apple Diap.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Apostrophes in between. So it wasn't just Will.i.am who was trying to run that bullshit. But
good. Because look, they'd released 2 albums prior to Ella Funk, and each of those sold a couple of 100,000 copies. So they didn't have a lot of mainstream success.
They did have a little bit of credibility.
They did. They had a lot of, that's the thing.
Dramatically abandoned.
Yeah. So, and look, I believe it was the record label who I think it sort of said to them,
That's true.
You guys, you've released 2 albums now, you haven't had any hits. A couple of 100,000's okay, but when you're not breaking even, you're losing us money. So, look, you're going to have to go and do something with that. So they get Fergie, they get more pop, and then they pump out the hits. So Will.i.am and the other members of the group keep their career going by making this shift. So in one way, I can't be mad at them for saying, we're going to get dropped by our label, but they could have kept doing what they were doing, and if that label had ditched them, I'm sure other people, you stick to the path because they did have some credibility, and some of that earlier stuff is quite fine musically.
Yes, at least it has a sort of, at least they had an attitude in a sense of sort of authenticity to them.
Yeah.
They were trying sort of a bit clumsily to have a sort of message and stuff.
So on one hand, I can understand that, but on the other hand, you can sell out and not make some of the worst music of the last 20 years. So,
that's right. I mean, at least Evanescence, they might have had that rapper on one song because the record label made them do it, but then they didn't do 18 more albums with fucking the real McCoy going, wake me up in the background of all their songs while they awkwardly try to fit him in.
Exactly.
I mean, you can tell how awkward it is at this point anyway, because the video vibe is still very Adbusters era, urban protest, street art type of a deal with the band and the other dudes. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like running up and down the street, stickering and spray painting the ground level message of a question mark. That's the fucking way they're opening up the fucking squares and
Where
lines.
is the love, yeah.
The dudes in the band are dressed like Antifa. They're driving around in a van trying to wake up the sheeple, QAnon style. The whole thing is shot in sort of grainy, washed out colour like 8 Mile. And in the middle, there's this sort of heavily stylised white lady with, frankly, not a lot to do. There's no dancing in this video. She can't rap. And most of the singing is done by JT. At one point they're walking down the street and like towards the camera, and Apple sort of like nudges her forward towards the camera, which is kind of like a nice little moment. Like it's like he's sort of going, look, don't be scared, love. I know you're not doing anything, but you're too short to stand behind us. So at least, get up and shot at the front of the group at least. So I mean, and also the video has kind of a cool ending. I don't know who directed it. I was too lazy to find it. It's not a particularly good video, but it's shot quite well. And the last like 10 seconds are kind of cool. It features everybody that's been previously featured in the video sort of stops and like looks up at the sky, and you sort of, because there would been like a previous allusion to like some alien thing like that, but also there's a kind of sort of pseudo-religious vibe to a lot of sort of hip-hop as well.
Yep.
But it never shows what they're all looking at. Like it all sort of, and like the last shot is of an old lady's like the reflection in her glasses of the sky as she like tilts her eyes up. And you're like squinting in the reflection of her eyes, expecting to see some clue as to what it is. I was thinking, it's going to be a giant fucking cloud shaped like a question mark or some shit like that. But it's not. It just doesn't tell you what it is, which is kind of it's a slightly,
keeps you guessing.
Yeah, it's a more elegant, ambiguous ending than you would expect from a fucking Black Eyed Peas video, and certainly more than you would get from anything in the succeeding years.
It's the Vanilla Sky of Black Eyed Peas.
It shows they're in a transitional phase from having some credibility to the Fergie era, anyway.
Oh, certainly. Look, yeah, absolutely. So they re-recorded some of the songs of this album for a SimCity game in Simlish.
One of the Sims.
Now,
yes.
these songs are fucking garbage in English, so I can't imagine how bad they'd be in a fictional language from a video game.
Are you familiar with Simlish? Do you know?
No,
what it is?
I'm not.
It's kind of like the Charlie Brown teacher thing or Mr. Bean. You know, it's
Okay.
that sort of.
So they just re-recorded these songs doing
Yes,
that.
a bunch of
Sounds
other
fucked.
artists did. I mean, at the risk of making an obvious joke, by the time you hit Let's Get Retarded, the average Black Eyed Peas song would be vastly improved by just putting it into Mr. Bean language, I think. But yeah, I mean, you know, I didn't actually play the Sims games, but they were very popular at this time. They were a crossover gaming success. They're one of those games that people who don't like video games play, like
Yeah, exactly.
Candy Crush or Wii Sports or something like that.
Yeah, how do you get people to buy the game? You get the Black Eyed Peas to do Where Is the Love in a made-up language. That's what you do. Yep. So lyrically, the song is written as a response to 9/11. Where is the love?
Yeah, well-
Someone crashed a plane into a building. Where's the love, bro?
Yeah,
Thanks,
also,
Will.i.am.
this was released in June of 2003, so a bit
Yeah.
late. I'm sure
Yeah.
the families of the many first responders who lost their lives on that fateful day were grateful, especially after the band donated all the profits from this single to a charity relief fund. Oh, wait, they didn't. They
No.
just kept it all like normal. Oh, I take it back then.
Absolutely. Look, they re-recorded this in 2016, unfortunately. Now, the rework is somehow worse than this, which,
my God,
beggars
really?
belief. But yeah, Will.i.am said the remake was inspired by the tragic events that were happening throughout the world. I remember when the attack in Paris happened, people would say, we need Where Is the Love again? And then Belgium, then Turkey, then Orlando, then Philando, and then Alton before him, and then Dallas, he said. Everyone was calling on us, like, we need that song again. Now, Tom, I have some serious doubts that occurred. Do you
Yes.
think that after the Paris attacks, the first thing the families of the victims thought was, you know what we need in this world? We need the Black Eyed Peas to rework their classic 2003 song, Where Is the Love?
Yes, I think the people would say we need Where Is the Love are the people from a Donald Trump speech who are saying,
I think the people with...
keep asking me to run again, and people keep telling me I have a huge dick and stuff like that.
Yeah, or the people that were asking Will.i.am to re-record the song were just the other two members of the Black Eyed Peas and
Yes.
Fergie, because there's no fucking way that conversation
No.
happened. Will, bro, yeah, dude, you need to do that. Where is the love? So the only way we're going to stop this domestic terrorism is if you can re-release this song. But can you make it somewhat
Not-
shitter than the
not
original,
write
please?
a new song, but
Thanks, mate.
re-release
Yeah,
it.
that'd be good. Cool. Cheers.
Yes.
See you, mate.
He's got a bit of a record with that kind of behaviour too. My personal favourite Will.i.am moment happened in 2012 when he was interviewed on the BBC car show Top Gear, which was at its apex of popularity at the time. At the end of the interview, with a lot of boggle-eyed self-seriousness, he held up a blurry picture of a weird sports car and announced that he was creating a new car brand called I Am Auto,
Fuck
which
yeah.
was going to create the future of motoring. He was very serious about this. He went on at length about how I Am Auto was going to open up factories in low-income communities, such as the ones he grew up in California's projects, and even across his parents' homeland of Jamaica, and make a lot of kids' dreams come true and lift them out of poverty,
Yep.
create a new world of ethical motoring. This all got a standing ovation from the audience and a solemn vow of approval from long-fired host Jeremy Clarkson, who census form now, I believe, lists his occupation as professional dick muncher, but at the time was a respected motoring journalist. Shortly afterwards, someone made a phone call or two, and it turned out that instead of disrupting the automotive industry and becoming the next Elon Musk, Will.i.am had just bought a second-hand DeLorean and glued some white crap onto the outside.
Good.
So far, that's about as far as the I Am Auto brand has progressed towards community job creation at this stage.
At this stage, yeah. Look, it is a sleeping beast, Tom, and I
Like
feel
I
like
said,
it will.
yeah,
It
sometimes
will.
these episodes take 2 weeks to come out, so it's possible that
Yeah.
he will be the new Tesla
Yeah, definitely.
by
And
that point.
And Elon Musk does a lot of his stuff in the public eye, but I feel like Will.i.am's a bit more of a low-key guy, and I think he does a lot of things behind closed doors. He
Yes.
doesn't like the publicity, so, perhaps he's made... All these terrible Black Eyed Peas songs are probably just raising the money to inject back into I Am Auto all done behind closed doors, and then one day we'll wake up, we'll turn on the news, and they'll see will.i.am driving out in his car and be like,
Yes.
holy shit, all along he's been doing this, which is good.
Perhaps he's working on a environmentally friendly bullshit-powered car. That might be it.
Yep. You know when you two put that album on their iPod that no one fucking wanted, and we've talked about this a few times, wouldn't it be great if you buy an I.am Auto vehicle and there's no stereo, you can't choose anything, but there's just a hard drive in there that only has Black Eyed Peas songs on there, and that's the only thing you can listen to?
As
That'd
soon
be
as
fantastic.
you press your foot down,
It just goes, where is the
yeah.
love? Yeah, so that's an innovation that I think is probably coming. Yeah, that'd be good. Whenever you change gears, it just like plays a different Black Eyed Peas song, so that'd be pretty handy.
I'm scared to ask how many listeners they have now.
29 million.
Fucking hell, that's disturbing.
Yep. And you can buy this for 2 cents, but yeah, that's a lot.
2 cents. to
You
me.
also got to forget that between album cycles for the Black Eyed Peas, will.i.am will just drop a solo album between that,
Yes.
which are equally as fucking bad.
Yes,
So.
and then Fergie went solo, and now they're back to their old releasing hip hop albums again. And
Yeah, they're
so-
still terrible. So I
Yeah.
think you can't just drop the ball for 20 years and then go back and go, remember that thing we used to do? People will be like, what? So,
Christ
yeah.
knows how much money they must have now, though. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Exactly.
They weren't scared of selling shit for ads either.
No.
Look, lyrically, the best thing you can say about this is that it's a reasonably positive message and at least involves looking at the world and reacting to it and not just getting drunk at parties. The worst you can say about it is that it took 8 people, that's right, 8 people, that's 2 full The Beatles,
Yep.
to write this. And the first lines are, what's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mama. Could have said karma at the end of the second line. I mean, it took me 11 whole seconds to think of that.
Right,
but
mama
then
with
again, I'm not running around town gluing question marks to no standing signs, so what would I know?
You don't
about
know
hip-hop?
anything. You don't know anything.
I should be driving around in a van with a black beanie on.
Exactly right. Exactly. Look, we won't talk anymore about that because there's going to be so
No.
much. There's going to be way too much Black Eyed Peas content in this podcast coming up. So, look, there you go. I'll try and find out what the name of the other guy is before the next episode because I just couldn't be bothered.
I
But
guarantee you it's got full stops in
Yep.
it somewhere.
so up next is Dido with White Flag. 1 week. This is pretty boring.
Yeah.
Let's
I
face it.
kind of feel like, as we've been over in the past, a
Yep.
musical style which is actually new and interesting, a bit genre, a bit edgy, will often get into the mainstream, become accepted for, mainstream radio play, and then will often be followed by a kind of backwash
Yep.
of ostensibly similar but completely toothless nonsense on the charts, like Evanescence with new metal,
Yep.
while the real thing kind of retreats back to the fringes. We just saw it happen with grunge, dance music, and punk for about the 3rd time, and I think this is a small-scale version happening to trip-hop after Massive Attack and Portishead became huge and really did something new with a sort of subgenre. Now it's 10 years on and we're left with this sort of inoffensive pabulum. And yes, I'm saying Dido is the Nora Jones of trip-hop, the Hinder, if you will. She's a real buck cherry, is what I'm saying. But on the other hand, her first album sold 21 million fucking copies.
Jeez, that's a
and
lot.
that and this combined are 2 of the biggest selling albums in all of UK music history. So clearly, dinner party trip hop is a genre that I need to be a part of, or I'll be left out.
Does this fall into trip hop? Does it? Why is that?
What I mean is very, very loosely afterwards. This is to trip hop what Evanescence is to new metal.
Yeah.
Like, it's
So
the,
it has some program beats. That's about the effect of it.
yeah, and she kind of has a smoky, slow voice and a kind of slowed down dance
Yep.
vibe to it. But there's just nothing there. There's nothing else to it.
Look, if you haven't heard this song and you want to know, I guess, what it is effectively, what I'll say is that the music video features the guy who played Angel in Buffy the Vampire Slayer wearing a leather cap. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So, and that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show.
Yes.
Not not the movie, which of course
No.
featured our favourite 90210 actor Luke Perry.
Yes,
Rest
divinal song.
R.I.P. Yep, but yeah, the movie was fine. But yeah, so that's all you need to know.
She had a crush on Angel at the time, didn't we all?
Oh,
Doesn't
for sure.
really explain why this was filmed in Cape Town, South Africa for no discernible reason, or why the camera spins around the entire video in a vaguely nauseating way for no reason that I could figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
Who knows? What I will say is that I know the music industry can be hard these days in 2022. So we know that streaming services, Spotify, they don't really pay artists as much as I guess artists expect that they should get, people think. So they don't get a lot of money there. Cancelled concerts because of the pandemic, so you can't play live. You can't really do that.
It's been a tough few years for
you can't really make money. So a lot of people are not making a lot of revenue through that. So you've got to create additional revenue streams, and a lot of people are either doing that through, I don't know, an NFT of an old album cover recreated in MS Paint, or a perfume seems to be quite popular.
Celebrity vodka.
Celebrity vodka, yes, exactly right. Celebrity alcohol. But is it a missed opportunity for Dido to release her own brand of dildos, do you think? Because her name is effectively Dildo. Do you think that would be a way that she, without touring, without the Spotify revenue, Dido's dildos, boom.
I think you're exactly right. I
think that'd be huge.
At the very least, she could have helped resurrect the cartoon character Fido Dido.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he had a lot to say.
She should just change her name to Dildo, I think.
Who could forget his official mantra? This is real. This is how bored I got with Dido. I looked up the Wikipedia for Fido Dido.
Yep.
This was his official mantra. Fido is for Fido. Fido is against no one. Fido is youth. Fido has no age. Fido sees everything. Fido judges nothing. Fido is innocent. Fido is powerful. Fido comes from the past. Fido is the future.
That's good.
And people have the temerity to suggest that the 80s arts community was heavily into cocaine then. So, yes. We know what happened to Fido Dido. He went to rehab.
Yeah.
But what happened to Dido after her range of dildos didn't come out?
Well, she didn't do much else after this, Tom, but it sounds like
this was the high watermark?
Yeah, it was the high watermark. Sounds like she sold a shitload of album copies, so didn't actually need to do anything else. Probably musically, she probably had as much money as she needed. I don't think the mainstream wanted more of this extremely bland sort of, the boring beats that even at the time it sounded like you could put together in an hour. I don't think people probably wanted more of this, so she didn't crack the top 10 again. Hasn't had a song in the charts in Australia since 2004, but she was involved in Do They Know It's Christmas for Band-Aid 20.
Oh, God.
So still doing good work there.
Fucking hell, good to know Band-Aid
Definitely.
still going as well.
That Fido Dido mantra sounded very similar to the one that Eiffel 65, the alien did on that.
Yes, maybe they took the same thing at a nightclub in 1989.
Exactly.
Cracked their brain wide open to the possibilities of intergalactic travel and fucking badly drawn cartoon characters.
Yep.
Look, I think you're right. Like, in the Norah Jones vein, they were both briefly huge, but then middle-aged white people realised, well, you really only need 2 CDs, and then you've got, 3 hours of dinner party music covered. That's it.
That's all you need.
As much as
exactly
you need.
right.
And by the way, in case you're wondering why she's called Dido, I always assumed it was her surname, but it's not. It's probably because her real name is Florian Cloud de Bournevale Armstrong.
Oh.
From early childhood, her parents, who clearly had mixed feelings about parenthood as a concept, called her Dido. So she had 2 options: tell people her name was Florian Cloud, or tell them it was Dido, spelt dildo without an L.
Yes.
Or 3 options, I guess, if you count just calling herself something sensible, like, say, judging from her haircut and musical taste, Karen. But yeah, she went with Dido instead. But
great.
Yeah, and her brother was called Rollo by her parents, and so he ended up calling himself Rollo in real life for some fucking reason, and he is her producer on a lot of her albums.
Oh, good.
Like Billie Eilish, they had a brother-sister kind of thing going on there.
Yeah, it's good times.
Yes. Lyrically, this is very simple, some might say basic in the newest sense of the word song. I know you think that I shouldn't still love you or tell you that, but if I didn't say it, well, I'd still have felt it. Where's the sense in that?
Yeah.
Good question, because despite the simplicity of the song, it still manages to contradict itself several times. Here she's saying, I know it's over, but I still love you, and I'm still going to tell you about it, even if you don't want me to. Then in the chorus she says, it's not over, I'll never surrender, I'm going to stalk the guy from Buffy with high-powered night vision goggles until he takes me back.
Yep.
And then in the last verse she says, when we meet up again later, I'll hold my tongue and pretend it's fine and not say anything. So just fucking nut up or shut up,
Yeah,
Dido,
I
I'm
think
saying.
that's right.
Like, for goodness sake.
Correct, yeah. Look, there is a more succinct way to put all of that. Tom, where is the love? Question mark.
Yes, at least they were
I think
looking
that was
outside
taken,
of their own bedroom.
Exactly.
By the way, this is another basically piano ballad.
Oh,
really.
yeah, it sucks. It's bullshit.
Less piano, more electro, but it's got piano ballad written
Yep.
all over it.
Fortunately, no more of those on today's list. Oh, no, wait. Delta Goodrum again with Not Me, Not... Oh, sorry.
Jesus
Dido,
Christ.
4.6 million on Spotify and 48 cents for this. So
Fucking
a
hell.
lot of people are still having dinner parties with boring shit happening in them.
almighty.
Play that. So Delta's up next. Not Me, Not I. Another song off this album. Fucking hell. Every single she released off this album, it's probably no secret by
In
now.
Australia.
They all went to number one.
Yeah.
Every single... People just couldn't get enough of pianos.
That's right.
So, look, I don't have a lot to say about this. You got anything, Tom, for Delta at this stage?
Dido and Delta, it's like a delicious sandwich,
Yeah.
except there's no filling, just two thin slices of chalk white Woolworths Select sandwich loaf pressed together, sort of squished into a paste, and then eaten on a drizzly Sunday while you stare out the window and feel bad about everything. But yeah, lyrically, this was written by Delta and Fwiggy Niho.
Oh, good, that guy.
Our old mates, four white guys you've never heard of.
Yeah.
If you think Love is Blind, that I wouldn't see the flaws between the lines. Surprised that I caught you out on every single time that you lied. Did you think that every time I see you I would cry? No, not I won't cry. No, not me, not I, not I. Now, sure, the pronouns and tenses are a dog's recycled breakfast, but compared to Dido, at least, this song has internal consistency. E.g., she broke up with a dude, but she won't let him see her cry. It'll happen again with some other dude later, etc. Love is blind, you've got shit taste in men, etc. Again, it's all dull as toothpaste, but I guess, unlike Dido, the production doesn't make it sound like it's drizzling out of a grey guy inside the song somehow.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Dildo. We found someone who makes you sound ballsy.
Correct, yeah. Back to back with that. You've got this
Yes.
bullshit. Cool. So, look, yeah, Delta, you've already mentioned it this week. 800,000 on Spotify. This will cost you $1.88. It's getting up
Fucking
there.
hell. Yeah, I guess that's because the rest of the world wasn't as invested.
Don't think
in this,
they
but
probably
yeah.
pressed as many of these, but there you go. Look, up next, Tom, is the Australian Idol Final 12.
Oh no, what's that sound? Sorry.
Axel's
Sorry.
asked to give us some reggae.
That's the mystifying alarm that goes off for reality TV show bullshit.
Yeah, look, Australian Idol Final 12, Rise Up. Now, this can fuck right off, Tom. Look, at least in the pop stars era, you only ended up with one shit single out of the whole process. So we had, obviously, for Series 1, Bardo wins, you get that one shit Bardo song.
Yeah.
Poison. Scandalous win, you get Me, Myself and I.
Yeah.
Scott Kane win, you get whatever the fuck it was that he did. I can't remember, it was so bad. But for whatever reason, in the Australian Idol era, the creative force behind the show decided that the general public needs a single released by the final 12 contestants.
Yeah.
Getting together and dropping a single before the contest is even over. So they're just periodically releasing songs as singles throughout the show now.
It's
So,
bizarre, isn't it? It's like a Christmas thing, except not Christmas.
No.
Yeah, and also, let's face it, the general public is a fickle bitch, because in 2022, I can't even track down the credits of the original songwriter for this.
No.
That's how little remains of it. I assume they grabbed the cash, burned their hard drive, and hightailed it out of the country before the song could be performed live.
No doubt, yeah.
Either that or it was Dicko, I guess. One of the two.
Dicker, yeah, I'd say so. Look, the final 12, though, does feature some of the heavyweights of the Australian entertainment industry. Guy Sebastian, Shannon Knoll, Rob Millsy Mills, Paulini, all the biggest names, even 20 years on, which is alarming.
It is alarming, isn't it?
Some of these people are still
Yeah.
operating within the music industry.
It's like when you see that Russia have got Tartu out of retirement for the Sochi Olympics, you're like, Jesus, really, this is saying more about the Russian pop music scene than it does
say
if this is 10 years later and you can't come up with anything better than two fake lesbians who had 1.5 hits for about 3 weeks in 2003.
Yeah, I guess Pussy Riot were probably busy that weekend or something.
Oh, they were in a shallow grave.
Yeah,
by now,
no
buddy.
doubt. Look, the problem with Australian Idol Final 12 is, Tom, I think these guys could have gone much further than just a one-off single. You know, we would have loved more input. from the members to write their own songs? Because I assume that someone else probably wrote this.
A couple of them sort of did.
Yeah, but would have loved more output. A 20-year reunion for a tour, more material. But I guess unfortunately none of those things could come to pass because one of the Australian Idol Final 12 members, Levi, fell off the balcony of the Brisbane hotel he was staying at in 2008 and died. So
don't party with rugby players.
Yeah, look, it's better to burn out than fade away, as I say. But I think he was probably pushed by Shannon Knoll because
we don't have any proof of that. But I mean, let's face it.
Yeah, look, I have a feeling that Shannon. I think that maybe Levi knew something about the show that he wasn't letting on, and look, I think something along those lines happened. There's probably another podcast in that, Who Killed Levi, that will farm out to someone else that deals with those things. But look, they could have probably got the group back together under the name Australian Idol Final 11, sort of like S Club 3 style, or when Girlfriend rebranded to GF4 after losing the 5th member. But I think, maybe that would have felt a bit disingenuous, so they just decided to lay the project to rest and just let the other individual members go about their business, I guess.
It's a tragedy, but,
Yep.
At least we got all those great Guy Sebastian albums out of it.
Yeah, look, putting aside the fact that this was just a one-off song, and from the final 12 contestants in the show, as a piece of music, it's absolutely fucking garbage. That's the other thing.
It built me up.
Has to be one of the worst of the decade. The lyrics sound like they were written by a child. Like, it's just horrendously shit.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Ben. What's wrong with everybody's come a long, long way, such a long way to be here today. We're going hard, giving it all. We've been knocking on wood with our backs to the walls. We've been working every day and night, waiting for the chance for the day to arrive. And now we've all got something to prove, win or lose. There's only one thing to do. Call Janet's Perm Boutique and ask if our job's still open.
Yes.
I think that was a line they took out in one of the later edits. But I think it was Reach for whatever it was called again. Rise Up.
You got to rise up.
Like an eagle, I think, because, if you're running out of cliches, like an eagle is always pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely fucking atrocious.
Yeah, like I said, this is so bad that nobody would take credit for whoever wrote this. So,
no, fuck no. And it is just sort of a...
Maybe they gave them one line each.
Yeah, it's like a Band-Aid type thing, isn't it? Where it's just like Guy Sebastian coming in saying, such a long way to be here today, and then Paulini, whatever the fuck, and then, Robert Millsy Mills doing some bullshit. So the whole thing's fucking terrible. But, the concept's bad, the song's bad, so the fact that it went to number one, you're right, it says a lot more about Australia as a society than it does about the actual music.
Much as we shat on those fucking giant cocaine-fueled, rock
music
star
was better.
Group things in the 80s. Yeah, A, the music, though bad, was still better than this, and B, at least they were doing it for fucking charity.
Yeah.
Like, this is benefiting no one except Simon Cowell's pocketbook and, whichever twats funding the, I don't know,
exactly.
Grundy.
Oh, terrible. Look, this was
Channel
number
9 or fucking whoever.
So 3 weeks of this bullshit. Definitely the worst of the year by far. I'm saying fucking garbage. It's not on Spotify, thank fuck. So you can probably watch it on YouTube if you so desire. No one has the single up for sale on Discogs, which is a new one for us. And it's never been sold before on Discogs, so there's no even price of what it might be. And the album is blocked for sale by Discogs, which only happens in one of two scenarios, Tom. Copyright infringement or unacceptable content. So
I cannot think of two words that summarise this song better
sort of
than unacceptable content.
Yeah, unacceptable content. Usually, it's usually sort of.
I think that was the name of a late period Black Eyed Peas album too.
I think so. So
spelt wrong.
The content was so questionable that they just went, "You can't fucking sell this," and that's fair enough. So that sucks. We won't get to hear about the Australian Idol Final 12 ever again, but unfortunately, individual members of that will pop up from time to time. So, moving on next, Tom, is another Kylie Minogue banger for 1 week, Slow.
Yes.
she's back again with more top-tier material.
Yep, still in her fucking can't go wrong period.
Yeah, exactly. So she was asked in 2012 what the favourite song from her career was.
Oh, really?
And she replied, "Especially for You" with Jason Donovan. And then she said, "I'm joking," and she actually said "Slow." So this
Did
is.
she make that joke?
No, she
That
didn't.
you-
No, she
Oh,
didn't.
I was gonna
So
say.
yeah, so Slow. This is apparently her favourite song from her career in 2012. So that's positive. She likes it. I think it's pretty good. She had a long string of hits where she'd sort of worked in that new disco dancey type material, and they were good.
3 albums of that. This was Body Language.
Yep.
But yeah, so there was the ones we've been talking about in the last few years stretch over a 3 album period.
She was very prolific, pumping out like an album a year almost. Or
they really pounced on this style that was popular at the time. They realised finally all the forces lined up together, and people realised how to make her look good, how to make her sound good. The fact that what she was really good at really suited this musical style, and that this musical style was having a moment, so they should make hay while the fucking sun shines and get
indeed.
shitloads of stuff on time. And this was produced by... Oh, yeah, the other thing was get actual good production, too.
Yes.
This was produced by Dan Carey, not Danny Carey of Tool. Unfortunately, that would have been
Don't you mean
interesting.
Danny Carey of
Of Green Jelly.
Green Jelly fame?
Yes. Yes, no, this is Dan Carey. And I reckon he should take some credit for this song in particular, because it is, as its name would suggest, it's quite a bravely minimalist song. I mean, you could call this dance music or sort of neo-disco, which is kind of the stuff that she'd been working in this era, but let's be honest, Ben, we're adults here. Just like Help Me Rhonda and I Was Only 19, this is a song for having sex too.
Yep.
And probably quite a good one. That said, if you're an 8chan incel like me, or simply not at the pants-off stage of the relationship yet, the Chemical Brothers mix is probably more fun to actually dance to.
Cool.
As the name would suggest, this is quite slow. But it's sort of elegant and kind of... It is sort of a sexy, slow... Again, tiny little bit trip-hop influenced, I reckon, that sort of slight... smoky vocal, slowed down dance, and the video kind of, I'm sure you saw it as well, but it really plays.
It's another iconic music video. This is the one where
Really
she's
cool.
poolside, everyone's on towels, and they're sort of dancing while lying down, I think.
like
Very
the
well done.
song, it's kind of minimal too. It sort of makes a lot out of a simple idea.
Yeah, dancing, lying on a towel, basically.
Yeah,
But it's
and the
good. It
camera's
zooms out.
overhead and it slowly
pulls back. Yeah, exactly right. So, look, as you said, Tom, this period of her career, she's obviously working with very good songwriters,
Yes,
good producers,
definitely.
great video clips, really good outfits. It's all coming together. So, this is it.
Her fucking album and singles covers were
Yeah,
great
yeah.
at this time. The typography, she was truly in the zone here like that. Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. So, no, all is good with that. I don't know. We've talked about Kylie a lot in the last few weeks, so I don't have too much more to say about Kylie herself. But what
No.
about lyrical highlights of this song?
Pretty simple one. Like, that really barely even bothers talking about. It's kind of from that EDM era where it just kind of repeats the chorus mostly. There's not a lot vocally.
Slow.
Yeah. Written by Kylie and Emiliana Torini from Iceland, most of whose credits are in Iceland, weirdly, so I'm not sure how they hooked up, unless Kylie took half of it and came over the top of it.
Yep.
This is stock standard disco as fucking sort of metaphor. Basically, the only interesting thing is the emphasis on going slowly instead of the usual tonight, so right, gotta happen tonight before my dad gets home and notices the stain in the Tarago type of deal that you normally get with this thing. But yeah, that's about it, really. But
Good.
No, it's just more of her good period stuff.
Cool. 92 cents for this. So if you've got to buy something off Discogs and the choice is between this and obviously you can't get that Australian Idol Final 12 because it's banned. But yeah, definitely purchase that ahead of any of those Delta ones that cost a lot more. So. Cool. All right, up next, Britney Spears featuring Madonna, Me Against the Music.
Yeah,
for 2 weeks.
This one. This is my annual I've forgotten this one.
It's actually weirdly listening to it, I went, oh, this isn't one of her Britney's more memorable songs. Like, I'd sort of forgotten about it as well. It's not the finest, but obviously at the time Britney was still big enough that maybe her and Madonna, maybe just the combo of those two together was enough to get people to rush out and buy this. This is sort of a Britney versus Madonna type situation. So this is basically Britney in the Junkie XL role, bringing Madonna back from the dead through song. So effectively, not that Madonna was dead, but career-wise, she hasn't had a hit for 2 years, so it's effectively dead.
Yeah. Look, let's be honest, Britney gets a lot of love from Gen X and Gen Y because they remember her from the 90s and from, the fun part of their youth.
Yep.
Hence the popularity of her recent documentary and the sort of public, interest in getting her out of her current, travails with her management and so forth. But to be honest, I have yet to meet anyone who's a big fan of a song she released this millennium. I have to admit, I think when almost everybody is thinking fondly of Britney, at least from my age and the next decade underneath, they're imagining her first few albums and the songs that we've already covered. Yeah.
There is a good one coming up, Tom, but you're right. Yeah.
Toxic aside,
yep,
that's the only one I can really think of in the popular consciousness. I mean, name me anybody who's got a soft spot for me against the music, really.
Nobody, yeah, exactly. Look, this isn't one of the better songs. I don't think I've heard it probably since about 2003, as I mentioned. It's not like Toxic, that does get blasted on Cole's radio probably every day. And the Madonna parts are whack as fuck as well. It's just her just going, Britney. She just says Britney a lot. And you're like, Britney. Hey, Britney. I don't even know if she sings any parts of the song. Just going, hey, Britney. Yeah, Britney. Yep. So, and I wouldn't say that Britney's rapping in this, but she's certainly singing very fast in parts. Doing almost like kind of that Savage Garden song where the guy just goes cherry cola. So
she's still giving it some Die Another Day stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not rapping, but certainly singing fast. In the video, she's wearing a pleather bowler hat and a pleather tie. So I'm not sure is a pleather hat ever a good look? I don't know.
Is that what Madonna's wearing?
Britney's wearing a pleather bowler hat. Yeah.
I feel a little bit sorry, as I said earlier with Christina Aguilera. I feel a bit sorry for the pop songstresses of this era trying to be sexy, because looking at the cover for this single is like looking at the cover for Dirty by Christina Aguilera. They're both wearing spectacularly uncomfortable looking, completely unflattering, entire midriff exposing low-cut jeans that stop just above the area where...
Midriff, that's exposing 2/3 of Britney's...
the lower pudenda area, which not only look fucking uncomfortable, but also both of them manage to look like they make you look as though you've pissed yourself.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
Was a mystifying jeans fashion. And she's teamed that with... wife-beater singlet and a Gilligan-style fishing cap for full sexiness appeal.
I don't think that one's made of pleather or leather, but she's
just like you've got to fight. They both did quite well to manage to look attractive despite the fashion that was going around at the time. But yeah.
What do you think "me against the music" means? We haven't got to the lyrical highlights yet, but what does that mean? It's she's taking on the music. She's against the music. Yeah. She's against this music, or is it just a response to the terrible Black Eyed Peas songs where she's sort of like, I'm against that music. It's me, Britney, against shit music. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. She seems to be, in the lyrics, she seems to be bragging about how she's the only person dancing to this song on stage. And so it's like she's like fighting the shitness of the music.
Yes.
And the rest of the crowd have, she's brave, but they've given up on how shit this song is. They've gone to the bar to get another Maduri. But she's out there on the floor and no one cares. It's whipping my hair, it's pulling my waist. To hell with stairs, the sweat is dripping all over my face with the effort of pretending that this is not a shit song. No one's there. I'm the only one dancing up in this place. Tonight I'm here, feel the beat of the drum, got to keep it that bass. I'm up against the speaker trying to take on the music. It's like a competition, me against the beat. Again, I've never felt combative towards the music.
No.
I've definitely listened to music and thought, this music's so bad, I want to punch the singer in the face.
Yeah, but
I haven't
taking the beat on.
Yes, this music's so bad, I'm going to dance for hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see who goes down first, me or this shit song.
That's true,
yeah.
Perhaps she should have tried to turn the beat around, perhaps. I don't know. Is that what that song's about as well? We're going to turn the beat around? Because the original beat is bullshit. I don't really know. Look, it's hard to say, Tom, but all I know is that you can't fight the moonlight. which makes as little sense as this song.
So in one of the lyrics to a song later on this year, I think it might have been that Kylie song, she mentions the impact of the music turning her around 180 degrees, which perhaps, was a subconscious idea that she should, flip around backwards and just call it quits.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else.
No, exactly. Look, interestingly, Madonna did this duet, obviously, with Britney. And I say duet in the loosest of terms because it's just her going, Britney, what's up, Britney?
Yeah.
It was meant to be a solo song, and then Britney... This is when Britney and Madonna kissed at the MTV Music Video Awards.
Yes.
So after that happened, there was a bit of publicity around, Britney and Madonna had that weird kiss at the thing. So this song was just meant to be Britney solo. They brought Madonna in and she did a bit of, it's Britney bullshit. Yeah, capitalise on that. But, so interesting, Madonna agreed to do this, but she generally doesn't do duets. So, as you may have seen from her career, doesn't really do them. So apparently Bono approached her and said, Madonna, hey, it's Bono here. I'd like to do a duet with you. And Madonna said, Bono, sorry, I don't do duets, which is clearly bullshit as evidenced by this song. I just have a feeling that she went, fuck that. I don't want to work with Bono.
God, imagine those two egos trying to share the space, the same room.
Yeah, that'd be
like two powerful electromagnets being pushed together on the same poles being forced together. Ooh, wow.
Yeah, they'd probably need to bring in a heavyweight to produce that, like, say, Will.i.am, I guess, to really get the best out of the two of them.
Yeah,
but that
I'm not
sounds
sure even
totally
Dan Carey and the Neptunes could make that one.
No, I don't think so, exactly. So, look, 24 million for Britney and 18 million for Madonna. So as of 2022, Britney has more. But
how many did Kylie have? Did we say?
I think about 8 million. Sorry, I didn't mention that, but I did mention last week. But yeah, so interestingly, I mean, Britney might be on a bit of a roll after the documentaries that have come out recently, sort of her recent.
Just back in the public conscience.
Yeah, back in the public conscience, having being removed from that bizarre sort of arrangement that she had, the conservatorship. So all of those things that happened. So back in the public conscious. So correct. So that's good for her. 62 cents for this on Discogs. I can't really say. That's probably not a great deal compared to other songs. So I can't really remember it. So there you go. Anything else to say about this one?
No.
Cool. All right, moving on. Oh, Jesus Christ. Guy Sebastian, Angels Brought Me Here. 3 weeks. This is some more bullshit. Now, the final of Australian Idol Series 1. We've met the final 12. We've met those guys. Robert Mills, Paulini. They didn't make the cut. Season 1, final. Guy Sebastian v Shannon Noll, which in hindsight was really an unfair competition in that, there has to be one loser. It's sort of like pitting John Lennon against Mick Jagger. Well, okay, maybe Sean Lennon against Brooke Hogan, but you know what I mean. There has to be a loser here. Yes. And unfortunately for Shannon Noll, he came up against Guy and took home second prize as a consolation. But Shannon didn't have to record this song because the winner had to release Angels Brought Me Here. So I guess in many ways, it was good for Shannon that he didn't have to do this because do you think he's gravelly, performing in a cover band sort of vocals would have really suited this song?
No.
Angels Brought Me Here. So, yeah. But anyway, he's just won the singing contest. Guy did. Congratulations. So here you go. Here's the first single. Fantastic. And Angels Brought Me Here. Angels Brought Me Here, Tom. Angels Brought Me Here. That's the song that Guy, as the winner, had to record.
Yeah,
would you just if you won the contest and they went, you're the winner, here's the first single, what would you do? Would you try and have that record contract rescinded? Would you go, I'm happy to do this because
Angels Brought Me Here?
Angels Brought Me Here.
Like the opening line from a shit comedian, it's a title that begs for an immediate response, e.g., well, they can fuck back off with you then.
Yes.
Oh, and let's not forget, as the title hints, that Guy Sebastian, as well as presumably an egomaniac, was also a born-again Christian. Ladies. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will only remember Guy from his afro, and that's unfair because in this video he looks like what would happen if Derek Zoolander grew his hair out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's also rocking a number of other early 2000s fashion faux pas, popped collar with a zipper on it, jumper. staring at the floor, terrible sneakers with corduroy pants, white suit. It's just the list of fashion crimes goes on and on.
Yeah, it was a bad era to sort of be
Yeah.
a musician in the public eye.
Chin beard drawn on with texture, the whole LEG type thing, yeah. Like,
Exactly.
It was a bad time to be styled, as we've already, but yeah.
But he didn't have a choice in the matter because Angels
No,
brought him
no,
here.
that's
so
true.
That's, he didn't get to choose the time that he was born. It was
No.
up to the Angels. The Australian public couldn't get enough of this song. If you can believe it, this was the highest selling single of the year. But not only that, the highest selling single of the decade.
God almighty.
And it was the highest selling single by an Australian artist of all time
God
until
damn it.
Gautier and Kimbra came along a few years later.
That is
so
depressing. If Gautier deserves credit for one thing, it
it's
should
not
be
going
that.
to
But
That's
what-
fucking depressing as hell. This
Yeah.
highest selling single by an Australian artist of all time.
No, it shows that, like the UK, even though I like to pretend that we're not, we are a sucker for a fucking cheesy fad. And this was the first year of Australian Idol, and despite the fact that it wasn't like a singing contest had just been fucking invented, everyone went fucking crazy for it, which explains how that happened, and that he got a career out of his sort of middling, vocal style,
yeah.
and also the fucking that 12-man Rise Up single. I mean, how the fuck that ever got played on the radio? You can only credit to this shit.
Oh, exactly. Terrible. Look, it also, listening to this song, it sounds like it was recorded in 1982 by
Yeah.
Stock Aitken and Waterman. The production
Yeah.
values on this are fucking abysmal. Like, it sounds so shit.
Yeah.
When I listened to it, I went, is this it?
Yeah,
Because
I know.
I remember him singing, but I couldn't remember the instrumentation.
Yeah.
And then I heard the instrumentation and went, fuck me, this is bad.
Yeah.
Sounds like they put it together over the weekend.
You're right, and the video is the same. Like it looks like an unofficial cobbled together video from excerpts of his tryouts for
Like a fan has made it.
They both look and sound like what they are, e.g. a group of people who, in pop music terms, are better than me,
Yep.
but not good enough to achieve commercial success without a 6-month-long unwatchable commercial spruiking them
Yeah.
to tweens. And this was the best they could do after that. Let us never forget that this is how Simon Cowell made his millions. One overcharged text message at a time from a suburban 12-year-old with mum's phone and shit taste in music.
Yeah.
And this is what you end up with when you let those people vote for their favourite fucking contestant. Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Lord.
The general public are, what's the word I'm looking for? Very poor judges of ability.
Or the general public who would sit through 6
Oh,
months
yeah.
of this shit and
Yeah,
then
exactly.
pick from the available options.
And we're all the victims because we had to listen to this song on the radio, etc. Now, it does raise the question, though. Do you think Guy was better than Shannon? Do you think that he won legitimately? Or do you think that he won because he had to manipulate the votes at some time? He got maybe his family to call in, all of his friends. Maybe he did something. Maybe he sort of was able to somehow work the system that allowed him to poll more votes than he really should have, more votes than his rivals. I'm looking at Levi, for instance, I think. Is it possible that Guy did something that stopped Levi, who should have won the competition, from winning? And if Levi had have won the competition, he wouldn't have been staying at that hotel in Brisbane. He wouldn't have fallen off the balcony. He'd still be alive today. And I think in many ways, Guy Sebastian probably has blood on his hands because it was through his manipulation of the votes that Levi is dead today.
Yes.
Is that a fair assessment?
I'm not going to go on record and say that Guy Sebastian's definitely a murderer, but I'm saying prove to me that he's not a murderer.
Oh, exactly
I dare
right.
you.
Look, he either manipulated the votes, which indirectly led to Levi's death, or he pushed him off the balcony and directly caused Levi's death.
Yes.
It's one of those two scenarios. So I don't know which one it is, but it's definitely one of those two. So look,
Okay, how is he doing on fucking Spotify?
3.3 million,
Oh, Christ, that's
which
depressing.
is a lot.
The sad part is he had a tiny flicker of overseas success. What did he do? He did a song with fucking an American artist who was popular at the time briefly, but
I don't know. I'm not sure
And
yet.
I think that explains why, for instance, he has, 4 times as many listeners than Delta did.
He does, yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
that's the point, I guess, that I was trying to make earlier with Delta, that she has significantly fewer listeners than Guy Sebastian does. So.
Guy Sebastian co-wrote some songs with fucking Robin Thicke.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, no, he did he was featured in a song. God damn it, that's going to drive me nuts now.
That's all right. You probably get to talk about
the
him
kind
at
of
some
thing
other
that would have been
station
played on MTV and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So whereas Delta never quite achieved that
Yep.
terrifying
No,
vast
definitely.
level of overseas success. But
So 3.3 mil, $1 it'll cost you on Discogs to buy this.
That's 99 cents too many.
Yeah, look,
Sorry,
exactly.
I say that every time.
Ex-
Lyrically, you can't blame the lyrics on Guy. Again, this was written by Jürgen Elefson, who's worked with Britney, Celine, and David Hasselhoff, plus John Reid, who managed Queen. So you can't blame Guy for this, but you might be asking what the fuck those guys were doing. It's been a long and winding journey, but I'm finally here tonight. I'm picking up the pieces and walking back into the light, into the sunset of your glory, where my heart and future lies. There's nothing like that feeling when I look into your eyes. My dreams came true. When I found you, my miracle. Now, I don't know about you, Ben, but I counted 10 lines there covering 10 separate metaphors.
Yeah.
And every single one of them, without exception, was a hacky fucking cliche.
Terrible.
Frankly, I expected better from a man who once wrote for the star of Baywatch Nights. He needs to pull his finger out.
Absolutely right. Look, was Hasselhoff involved in the writing of this? No.
No, the guy, Jürgen Elefson, who worked with Britney, Celine, and David Hasselhoff.
But Jorgen didn't write for Baywatch Nights, unfortunately.
No, but
That's a
David
shame.
Hasselhoff did, and just that connection, I expected better from that. John Reid was managing Queen when they did fucking Bohemian Rhapsody. You'd think he'd know what a decent song looked like.
Yeah, remember, you probably can't, but remember how Baywatch Nights Season 1 was just Baywatch but at night time? And then Baywatch Nights Season 2 was like an X-Files style, trying to solve crimes with fucking monsters and shit in it. It was just like, what in the fuck?
I've never seen a whole
fever
episode.
dream.
I'll have to go back.
Oh
and
yeah, I
rewatch.
definitely remember. Yeah, it was insane that they were just like, what if it was like the X-Files but with David Hasselhoff at the beach? It was like great. So look,
Good question.
anyway, so were any of the lyrics in there murder confession perchance or not? So
No.
Well, he
just
hadn't pushed Levi off the balcony at this stage. That was still to come in the
Unbelievably
future.
hacky song.
Yeah, look, it's fucking woeful. So that's look, I don't have anything more to say about that. Up next, Delta Goodrum, Tom.
God almighty.
Predictable / happy Christmas, the war is over. Delta is fucking crafty, I'll give her that. So what if you take one of the shittiest songs off your album, release it on the 1st of December, and then put a cover of a Christmas song on as the B-side? Straight to number 1. So credit where credit's due. She did that. Also, 5 number 1 singles off your debut album is a very good achievement.
Yeah,
so
undeniably.
they're all terrible, but I will give her credit for that. She's done a very good job there. People clearly had a fucking hard-on for piano ballads at this time, but no one listens to them these days. So weirdly stuck in a sort of period of time. But look, as I said, credit where credit's due. Good on you. 5 number 1s off your debut album.
Yeah, I will say, compared to the other fucking songs of hers that we've covered this year, if you produced this totally differently and threw in some guitar solos, you might just be able to squeeze a power ballad out of this.
Nice.
I reckon she supposedly pushed to go with a rockier version than the original demo. I mean, sure, this is heavier than, like, Innocent Eyes, but so is a rice cracker tied to a helium balloon. But, yeah, I mean, it does kind of, sort of, the chorus kind of rocks out a little bit.
What if there was a guy in the chorus going, "Can't wake up"?
Yeah,
That sort
that's
of,
what it needed.
Tipped it over the edge.
Yeah. Or maybe Fergie dropping some fat beats in the front. But yeah, at the 2003 ARIA Awards, which, if you don't know, are like the Grammys if they had the budget of your office party, Delta won Single of the Year, Best Female Artist, Highest Selling Single, Highest Selling Album, Breakthrough Artist Single, Breakthrough Artist Album, Best Pop Release, and the Channel V Oz Artist of the Year Award. when the announcers got to Album of the Year at the very end of the show, and Delta was nominated but lost to Powderfinger, a visibly pissed Bernard Fanning wobbled up to the mic and just went, "Fuck!" in a sort of confused way because she'd won every single other thing she was nominated for. It, yeah. Sadly, one award Delta didn't win that year was Best Video on the technicality that all of hers sucked ass. Instead, the award went to The Androids for Do It With Madonna. Do you remember that?
Fuck yes.
Oh, boy.
Jesus Christ.
The best thing you can say about anything involved in that shitfest is that some drag queens got paid to pretend to be pop stars for an afternoon, and I bet they still had to bring their own fucking costume. Christ almighty, I'd forgotten that one. When that popped up, I was like, oh, what's the Androids? Like, oh my God. It's like if Nova FM started a band. Fucking hell.
It was fucking awful at the time,
bad,
and I imagine it has not aged well.
Oh my God, yeah. Lyrically, theoretically, this is about a girl rejecting the advances of a man because she can see through his facade and knows that if she lets him enter her life, she'll end up heartbroken. In reality, it sounds like two stalkers arguing about who has to pay for the taxi home from the knife shop. Now that I know your every move, how you going to hide, baby, what you going to do, now that somebody knows the truth about how you're just so predictable in every way, I want you to know I know your game. It's so unbelievable how you never change. You won't get away with loving me. You're just so predictable.
Great.
Presumably she's, got a detailed map of his routes to work, his dropping the kids off timetable and so forth, while he spending the evenings watching her with night vision goggles from across the street. So,
Good.
yeah, I think they deserve each other, really.
Sounds like it, yeah, absolutely. Look, $1.99 that'll cost you. Don't
Fucking
buy
hell.
That's fucking way too expensive. That's one of the highest.
That's really, they must have printed many of these.
No, not at all. That's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything else for Delta? Fuck,
No,
we've talked about
God
Delta a lot,
almighty.
so who knows? There might be more Delta next week. I mean, fuck.
I mean,
she's
fair play to
everywhere.
her. That
Fair
is
play.
the only person we've talked about since doing the start of this podcast that had that many number ones in one fucking episode.
Yeah, exactly.
of
She
this
had one
thing.
last week and then 4 this week.
I mean, I know
That's crazy.
it's Australia, but even then, no other Australian's certainly done that. Not since we started this fucking thing. So.
Yeah, what I guess. Did we talk about how she started off on Neighbours? We did that last week.
Yeah,
didn't
we did it all last.
So I don't know.
yeah.
There's nothing else to talk about.
No.
I think these days she just is on one of those things, the game, the shows where the people.
Yeah,
she's, like
she's
a
on
judge
the one with
of
the
ones.
spinny chairs,
Okay.
whatever that is.
Yep.
X Factor or is
Some
it X
bullshit.
Factor? No, it's the other one.
The Voice. I don't.
The
I don't
Voice.
know.
Yeah,
Don't know.
that's it.
Cool. So up next, last song of the year, Tom. Black Eyed Peas. Shut Up. For 3 weeks. Now, Shut Up is something I imagine Fergie's heard numerous times over her life and career because her vocals are fucking annoying.
Yes, I quite agree. Let me ask you this, Ben.
Yep.
From this real list, what is the most appropriate title for a Black Eyed Peas CD single?
Yes.
Is it A, Shut Up, B, Take It Off, C, Let's Get Retarded, or D, Something for That Arse?
Sure.
As
D?
in, where can I keep this CD single? Oh, I'll tell you what. Something for that arse.
Fuck. Yeah, look, this song's worse than Where Is the Love? Is that...
Yeah, oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah. Do they get... I don't know whether they get progressively worse, because that's implying that the high watermark is Where Is the Love, and that was terrible.
Well, Where Is the Love, as stated, contains almost no Fergie.
Yeah.
She's barely in the video and she's barely in the song. But yeah, this is a real duet. It's a real back and forth with the Fergie.
Yeah.
Fergie playing the role of the lover that you're arguing with. But yeah.
Yeah, look, it's no good, but I think there's definitely worse to come from the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, 100%. You got anything to say about this?
Oh, not really. We've already talked about the Black Eyed
we
Peas,
have.
so yeah, and there's going to be way more of this, so
Yeah,
I can
unfortunately,
find
there
out some
is.
more about them. So
This was another one from Ella Funk, that album that,
Yep.
as we said, signalled the start of their shithouse mainstream making tons of money period.
Yep.
Lyrically, look, bend your ears, Ben, and see if you can make any sense out of these 4 lines.
Yep.
So why has it got to be so damn tough? 'Cause fools in lust could never get enough of love, showing him the love that you be given, changing up your livin' for a lovin' transition.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have any idea what that means? I literally do not know what that is supposed to mean.
Are the lyrics meant to be so fucking stupid so that then Fergie can just go, shut up, just shut up.
Yeah,
They
it's
can't
not
understand any of
exactly.
this.
It's not a complicated song. It's about a couple arguing, but I do not know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. Then it follows on, girl, it's a mission trying to get you to listen. Screaming at each other has become our tradition. You yell, I yell, everybody yells. Got neighbours across the street saying, who the hell? Sounds like a man whose grasp on what neighbour means is about as solid as his grasp on the question, should I put retarded in the name of our next single? Yeah, because as far as I know, neighbours across the street aren't your neighbours. Yeah. They're the people who live across the street, you know, but hey, look.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're saying, who the hell? Anyway, fucking...
Let's Get Retarded. Is that... they couldn't still play that on the radio, could they?
Well, fortunately, even at the time, it was a bit dodgy, so they had a nightclub release, which was Let's Get It Started, or rather, the radio release, and then in the nightclubs they'd play Let's Get Retarded as well. Yeah. It's kind of on the edge of when that was still acceptable, but you're just going out. Good heavens. But yeah, that's the wrap-up. I didn't actually... Did you have any other things that came close in 2003? I kept thinking while I was listening to this that I have a feeling that there was interesting shit going on here, which was not covered in the titles, but, you know...
you'd think
I might be thinking of other years. It's okay, man. Don't... Yeah, no... People have heard enough about our fucking... This year was just like a... Piano Ballad, Delta Goodrem, Black Eyed Peas, 3-hit combo.
Yeah, it sucked.
Over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, you know it's a rough year when one of the better songs is Wake Me Up Inside, Bring Me to Life. When Bring Me to Life is like the highlight, you're going, geez.
All the Christina Aguilera's follow-up to Dirty, high watermark for the year. But
exactly, yeah. That was pretty rough, but... I hope that there'll be significantly less Delta going forward. I think we've done that, but there's going to be. I think Guy's going to pop up a few more times, and
I'm
some
sure
of those other
it
fucks.
hasn't
So.
the last time that Gimme Some Reggae is going to pop up. Should have played that again for Guy Sebastian, but even Axel was getting sick of it.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with 2004. Who knows what that'll entail, but I'm sure it'll be a roller coaster of. Great songs, probably some more Black Eyed Peas, no doubt. I think Black Eyed Peas are probably going to feature every week or every second week now until the end of time.
And then just when you think you can't hear enough of them, then Fergie goes solo. Look forward to that.
Jesus Christ.
But don't take that as a reason not to listen to this awesome podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Right, well, we will get to Milk Money eventually. Fergie's MILF Money.
At least that's got a good video.
I got that MILF money. Yeah, I got that. It's great. All right, bye.
See you guys.